A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series, X-1.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizon of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, The Light, by Paul Anderson. But first, hear this. The glamour backstage at Broadway's newest hit musical show, the spectacular West Side Story, the novel experience of accompanying a congressman, Joseph Martin, as he searches out the complaints, compliments, and problems of his constituents on a grassroots tour of his district. The thrill of attending one of the top football games in the nation as Army versus Virginia. The excitement of spending late evening hours with the music of top artists performing in famous nightclubs in New York and Chicago. These are just a few of the highlights of the weekend entertainment Monitor has planned for you. Beginning tomorrow night, Gene Kelly, Milton Berle, Tab Hunter, and Tony Martin are among the celebrities who will be visiting you over the Monitor weekend. There'll be comedy by Fibber McGee and Molly and Bob and Ray. Music, news, and sports, all on Monitor. So why don't you start your weekend right with Monitor on Friday night and stay with Monitor all weekend long over most of these same NBC radio stations. Now, X-1, and tonight's story, The Light.
You really should feel highly honored, Professor. You're the only person I've been allowed to tell this to. And, of course, there's a good reason why you're being permitted to hear it.
Why?
I think you'll see why before I've finished. We're not a gang of power-nutty militarists, you know that. Personally, I'd like to tell it to the whole world, but it could very well touch off a war, and a war would mean the absolute end of civilization. There's one thing you should understand right from the start. Just because I know enough math and physics, just because I could pass the most rigid physical exam ever devised, doesn't mean I don't know anything about culture and art. When they picked me for the three-man crew for the first landing on the moon, they were a little condescending about that side of my background. Baird, the skipper, and Hernandez, the engineer, the other two members of my team, were a little leery of me just because I could talk about art every now and then. They needn't have worried. Once we left the space station and got into orbit, we didn't have much to do for several days but talk.
Look at it. From this distance, you'd swear the Earth was uninhabited.
It's hanging like a big sapphire in the inky black.
Poetry. Don't you ever quit spouting it.
Why are you writing me all the time, Baird?
Maybe I don't trust a scientist who keeps talking about art all the time.
You think there's no connection between the two?
I know blamed well there isn't.
I always thought that when you got up this high, you could make out the continents. I can't tell where the sea ends and the land begins.
It's the clouds lying all over the surface that make it so tough. I think that's Russia coming into view, isn't it, Skipper?
According to the orbital schedule, that should be Siberia emerging from the Terminator right about now.
Are they watching us, I wonder?
Why not? They've got a space station of their own with good telescopes on it.
Yeah, and I'll bet they're hoping that we smack into a meteor.
Maybe they don't have to hope. Maybe they've already arranged an accident.
I doubt it, Baird. They wouldn't risk sabotaging us. Not on a trip like this with the whole world watching.
Because it might start a war? Don't make me laugh. Nobody's going to start shooting when they know the whole world will go up in smoke just to avenge 3 spacemen and a $10 million hunk of ship.
Ever hear of chain reaction? One sharp diplomatic note might set off the whole thing. You think our own government would be sending us to the moon if there were any military advantage to be gained from it?
Then what's the idea? Why are we doing this?
Prestige. They put up the first satellite, built the first space station. Now we've got to be the first man to step on the moon, or the rest of the world will start looking on us as a second-rate power.
You make it sound like some kind of game.
Oh, it is, Hernandez. The deadliest game mankind ever played. One false move, and bang, the whole world goes up in a mushroom cloud.
How long will it go on? That's what gets me.
As long as there's a balance of power. But let one side, Russia or us, find a really new concept. Something the other side doesn't even dream about. And it'll be all over.
Suppose they find it before we do.
That'll be too bad for us. The Cold War will be over, and so will we.
Why don't you shut up, the two of you? You both talk too much.
It was the wrong thing to say, I knew, out there in the great quiet night. We shouldn't carry our little hates and fears and greeds out beyond the sky and into space. Or perhaps the fact that we can be burdened with them and still reach the moon shows that man is bigger than he knows. I couldn't say. Anyhow, as the whole world knows, we made it. Our landing site hadn't been chosen exactly, but as you know, Professor, we came down at the foot of the lunar Alps, not far from the crater Plato. We felt no sense of pioneering when we touched down. We were tired and tense. It was merely a hard, breakneck job.
Hot rockets.
Rockets off.
Well, gentlemen, we're on the moon.
Can we open the viewports? I want to see this.
Go ahead, I'm bushed.
Look at that.
That light. I didn't realize it would be so bright.
It's a cold, eerie light. It's not like our deserts on Earth. They aren't as bright or as dead.
All right, that's enough gawking. Our orders are to draw lots to see who's first on the moon. All right, Hernandez, you draw first.
Well, Professor, we drew lots. And, of course, everyone knows who won. I did. I was to be the first man ever to set foot on the moon. At least for a little while, that's what I believed.
You're listening to The Light, tonight's attraction on X-1. Now, back to X-1 and The Light.
We were in heavy spacesuits, of course, and it wasn't any too easy to move about, even with the light gravity of the moon. I stepped out of the airlock first, followed by Baird. I just stood there in the shadow of the ship, looking at the weird light, lost in wonder. I don't know how long I stood there before Baird spoke to me.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, what? Make the speech. You're the first man on the moon.
You mean that prepared speech they gave us? No, thanks.
We've got to make it. What's the matter with you?
Your job to make the speeches.
This is mutiny, you know. I ordered you to make it.
I could make a suggestion. Why don't you write in the log that the speech was made and let it go at that?
Judas Priest, man. All right. But if this ever gets out...
It's our secret, Captain. Consider the speech made. Well, what do we do now?
You start gathering rock samples. I'm going to take pictures. Come on the double.
So we went to work. I gathered some samples, and each time I did, I left a little mark in the dust on the surface. The traces I left would probably last until the sun burned out. It seemed like an act of desecration, though the landscape was ugly enough. No, that's not true. It wasn't ugly, only alien. You know, it was several hours before I could really begin to see anything. I mean, it took that long for my brain to start registering in this strange, eerie place. I remember pausing to rest a minute while I watched Baird making adjustments on his camera lens and snapping various bits of landscape.
Yeah, that ought to be a good one. You know, Baird, the thing that gets me is the light. It's no trouble. I'm using an F8 exposure this time. No, I mean the quality of it. It isn't like anything I ever saw on Earth. I wonder if it can be photographed. Of course it'll photograph. You know, in a way, it reminds me of that weird brass-colored light you get just before a storm on Earth. But it isn't the same either. No, I think I'll try an F11 setting. What I mean, though, Baird, is I don't think you can get the feel of this light in a picture. What you'd need for that is such a painter as hasn't lived for centuries. Rembrandt? No, it's too harsh a light for him. Cold light that's somehow hell-hot. Will you shut up, you and your blasted Renaissance?
Well, I suppose Baird had a point. This was hardly the place for a chat about art. We went back to the ship after that, had a meal and a nap before setting out for more explorations. We decided to take a look at the Plato crater, and conditions were right for it, so we set off, all three of us this time. I won't describe the walk in detail. I can't. It wasn't simply the landscape and the lighting. On the moon, your weight is only 1/6 as much as it is on Earth, while the inertia remains the same. It feels almost like walking underwater, but you can move very fast once you get the hang of it. After a while, we reached the crater wall, climbed it, and stood looking down. Then Hernandez saw something and let out a yelp that almost split my ear when I heard it on the speaker in my helmet.
Hey, look! What's the matter? What happened? There, in the floor of the crater, that mist. Yes, I see. Then they were right. Who? What are you talking about? The astronomers. They thought they saw something that looked like a mist in some of the big craters. They're right. It's right in front of our eyes. I thought there was no atmosphere here. How could there be mist? Maybe there's some kind of water table down on the floor of the crater. Hey, get back here. I want to go down for a closer look, Baird. And break your leg so we have to carry you home? No dice. You stay here. But we've got to find out. He couldn't break anything wearing that space suit. They're like arms. Stay here. I'll have your court-martial. Oh, Skipper, have a heart. Yeah, come on, Skipper. We've got to find out what that stuff is.
In the end, we convinced Captain Baird, but he insisted we rope ourselves together before we made the descent. It was agonizing work getting down the lip of that crater, but we made it. We stood there silently on the floor of the crater, bathed in a cold, golden-white radiance. There's never been such a light on Earth. It seemed to pervade everything, drenching us cold and white, like silence made luminous. It was the light of nirvana. And somewhere, somehow, I had seen it before. I stood there unable to speak until another yell from Hernandez brought me to my senses with a wrench.
Oh, no. It can't be. Now, what's the matter, Hernandez? Look there in the dust of the crater. Look and tell me I'm crazy. Good Lord. Footprints. Footprints of a man. Who? There's only one other country on Earth that could send a spaceship to the moon yet. Yes, Hernandez. Russians. Are they still here, I wonder? We can't tell by staring at the tracks. They could be 5 hours old or 5 million years. But why haven't they told the world? Why haven't they been bragging about it? Why do you think? You mean they've found something of vital military importance? Look up at the Earth. Maybe right now they're planning their next move. The last move. I don't believe it. They couldn't have done it. They couldn't have kept it secret. Why not? They could have taken off in a black ship when our space station was on the opposite side of the planet. How would we know? Come on. Where? Back to the ship, of course. They'll have to know about this in Washington immediately. If they find out we know their secret, that could be enough, Baird. That could trigger the war. I've got a code. Are you sure it can't be broken? That it already hasn't been broken? Shut up, you troublemaking whelp. Let me alone. Just the same, Skipper. We better follow those tracks. See where they lead to. We didn't bring any weapons. I'd be surprised if they were as careless. There, listen to me. All right. sure what these footprints are and who left them.
How much looking can you do? In less than 1 hour, the sun will sink behind the lip of the crater. When that happens, it's going to get cold. Colder than anything you've ever imagined.
I've got a heating unit in my suit.
Good for 20 minutes at the most against a cold like that. Barely time to get back to the ship.
All right. I'll take the chance and get back in time. But let me follow those footprints, Baird. It's your duty to let them, Baird.
All right, permission granted. God help you.
Baird and Hernandez, still roped together, climbed the crater side and disappeared, leaving me alone, staring at the hobnail boot footprints of a man. I had to work fast, knowing that the sun would soon disappear and the awful cold begin. I went on, following the steps in the still, lifeless dust of the moon. At last, I came to the place I was looking for. It wasn't much to see. There was a long track of plowed dust and a chipped stone where something had landed and taken off again. And this was the astonishing thing. There was no sign of a rocket blast. A few scars where a pick had removed samples, footprints, and that's all. Someone, sometime, had landed here without rockets and had never told anyone about it. I looked up at the sky, saw the ruddy speck of Mars, and felt cold. Had the Martians beaten us to our own moon? But I had to get back now. Every second longer that I remained whittled down my chances of ever reaching the ship again. I was about to start back when something caught my eye. A big chunk of rock with something carved on it. Something unmistakable. A cross. A million suns wheeled and glittered above me. Then I knew. I remembered where I had seen that weird light which remained on the wall at sundown. And then I knew the truth. I turned and started to run for the ship. I almost didn't make it. Baird met me halfway, ripped off my pack, and connected another heating unit.
Jackass! Puddin'-brained fool! I'm going to have you up before a court-martial, so help me if it's the last thing
Even if I tell you who made those footprints in Plato?
What?
I can, you know. I've got it all figured out. And in a way, it's a good joke on you.
All right, back into the ship with you and let's hear the whole story. And it better be good.
Of course, intelligence has been working night and day ever since we returned and made our report. They know we were telling the truth. And that's why you've been drafted, Professor. We're going overseas together, you and I. Officially, we're tourists. You search the archives, and I'll tell you when you've turned up something we can use. Oh, we'll find it. We'll find something. It couldn't have been done by rockets, you see. Even if the physics had been known, which it wasn't. The chemistry and metallurgy wasn't there. But there was something else. Anti-gravity? Maybe. Whatever it is, when we find it, the Cold War will be over and we'll have won. You don't get it? Professor, I'm shocked and grieved. You're a historian, a cultured man. All right, then. Our first stop is the National Gallery in London, where there's a painting called The Virgin of the Rocks. In that painting, you'll see a light, cold and pale and utterly gentle. A light which never shone on Earth. A light playing over the mother and child. And the artist, Professor, but of course you know the answer now. The artist was Leonardo da Vinci.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the conclusion of an exciting two-part serial, Wolfbane, by Frederick Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth. Read it in Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. X-1 has brought you The Light, a story written by Paul Anderson and adapted for radio by William Welch. Featured in our cast were Carl Weber as the narrator, David Kerman as Captain Baird, and Bob Hastings as Hernandez.
Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
The magic island of Euclidia is over 4,000 miles from Los Angeles, California. And now our friends of the Adventuring Gregory party are just that far from the magic island. Yes, they're safely home at last. However, as well as we've learned to know Mrs. Gregory, her daughter Joan, Jerry Hall, and Captain Bradford, it doesn't seem likely that they'll stay safely at home very long. In fact, as we pick up the story now at Mrs. Gregory's mansion in Los Angeles, plans are being discussed which haven't anything to do with staying home and being safe. Captain Bradford, Mrs. Gregory, and Joan are talking in the library while waiting for Jerry to join them.
But, Mother, why must we hurry about our plans to return to Euclidia?
Because, Joan, dear, the Euclidians are hurrying with whatever plans they're making about us.
I will concede that.
And another thing, Joan, which is not as apparent to you as it is to us. Something has to be done about that island, and done quickly, or it'll be too late.
Too late for what, Captain Bradford?
Too late to prevent those scientists bringing all their inventions to this country and doing as they please.
And would that be such a terrible thing?
Yes, Joan, it would.
But, Mother,
I know what you're going to say. The Euclidians know far more than we do, and they would help the world with all their marvelous discoveries.
Precisely, and that is true.
Granted that they could introduce a culture, an advanced education which the world needs badly, I still feel that their methods in bringing this education to us might be a little too drastic for a majority of the population.
You do not want to see your people educated, Captain?
It isn't that, Joan.
Of course it isn't. And let me remind you of one very vital thing you appear to have overlooked. There are a great many kinds of scientific education we can do nicely without. Now, for example, I think most people prefer sitting down to a good meal, to one of those concentrated food tablets we had on board the submarine.
Yet you admitted the concentrated food pellets provided adequate nourishment.
Sure they did, Joan, and they certainly served their purpose, but that was an emergency.
Exactly. And everything done on Euclidia is the same. Your airplanes can fly 1,000 miles an hour, but except for emergencies, no one has any reason to fly 1,000 miles an hour.
Suppose another country would attempt to take over the control of this country. Would you not like to have some 1,000-mile-an-hour planes then?
Well, naturally, but that's another emergency. War isn't a continual state of affairs. What your mother is trying to explain to you is that too much knowledge, too much speed, too much perfection rob us of many of the leisurely, pleasant ways of living, which are, after all, the only pleasures in living.
I must confess, I do not see it as you do.
You will, dear, after you've seen and enjoyed more of the pleasures in our world.
I should like that. But how am I to enjoy those pleasures if we are immediately going to organize an expedition and return to Euclidia?
Jerry will be able to take you around and show you a great many things, Joan. And even though you know far more than any of your instructors will be able to tell you, I want you to attend school.
School? I am to be taught to read and write when I have known that since I was 3 years old?
Not quite that bad, Joan. Jerry has another year of high school to complete, and your mother and I thought it would be nice if you went with Jerry. I'm sure we could arrange to have you admitted.
High school? What is a high school?
Well, I think you'd better form your own conclusions about that. At any rate, you will remain here in school. I'll have a housekeeper and guardian look after your interests while Tex and I are gone.
You and the captain are going where?
Back to Euclidia. We've got to take charge of that place, Joan. Put those scientists under some sort of regulation where their discoveries can be used only for good and protect the world against any wild ideas they might have.
But you would not go back there without Jerry and me.
Yes, Joan, dear. You and Jerry must stay here.
Why should we stay here?
Oh, many reasons. Your safety, for one.
But what of your safety?
Oh, I'll be safe enough. Tex and I are going to take along sufficient equipment to ensure our safety. And we'll turn the tables on Euclidia this time.
Yes, don't worry about us, Joan. We'll be as safe as we would be right here at home.
You are very definite about that.
Why, of course, Joan. We'll be perfectly safe.
Then why would not I be safe with you?
What?
If you will be safe, why would I not be safe with you?
Yes, of course. I think if you'll excuse me, Pat, I'll run along.
Oh, no, you'll do nothing of the kind. Sit right down here and help me get out of this.
You will not be able to extricate yourselves so easily. The fact remains that if you will be safe on a trip to Euclidia, I will be equally safe.
Well, there's a certain amount of risk connected with any such expedition.
And we feel that you and Jerry will be safer at home.
Would you not be safer at home?
Why, yes, I suppose we would.
Then I do not want you to go.
You what?
I do not want Mother to go if she will be in danger.
But, Joan, I am your mother, and I will say what we will and will not do.
That I do not like about your world. Older people are always allowed to do as they please, even if they are wrong, while younger ones are forbidden to do the things that are quite safe, proper, and harmless.
Well, now, Joan, you're getting into the oldest discussion known to modern parents and teachers. No one has ever settled it to anyone's satisfaction yet.
I realize that your training on that strange island has given you a great many ideas which do not fit in any too well with the conditions as you'll find them here. But I think I can explain why parents are allowed to give orders to their children and why children should obey.
I will be very glad to hear your reason, Mother.
Well, as I see it, parents give orders and children respect their wishes, not because parents are so wonderfully smart or have any more rights than the children, but simply because parents are older and their judgment should be better in a majority of cases. Parents make mistakes, lots of them, but their mistakes should be fewer because of their greater experience.
That is entirely reasonable, and I can understand how that might hold true in your world.
Good for you, Pat. You sure made that clearer than I would have. Now, are you satisfied that your mother is competent to arrange your activities, Joan?
While we are living here, yes. But on a trip to Euclidia, no.
But, Joan, dear...
The situation is entirely reversed, Mother. On matters pertaining to the island, my judgment is better than yours.
Now, where do we go from here?
I give up, Tex. You'll have to try it again tomorrow.
I thought Jerry was coming over tonight.
Jerry is to be here at 7 o'clock.
He'd better hurry. It's 1 minute of 7.
Then he will be here in 60 seconds.
I'm afraid, my dear, that you won't find things in our world running exactly on schedule as they did on the Magic Island.
Why should they not?
Time isn't quite as precious around here.
But Jerry said that he wanted very much to see me. And if he wanted that so very much, he would be on time to look at me.
Well, perhaps you'll learn that a young lady can't always depend on all a young man says.
I do not like that. 7 o'clock was the time agreed upon, and I shall expect to see Jerry at 7.
Well, I hope for Jerry's sake he gets here on time.
But after all, Joan, dear, the time is not so very important.
Indeed it is. Jerry is going to take me to a motion picture show.
I don't know about that.
Decidedly not.
But, Mother, you said Jerry might show me some of the things he enjoys so much.
Yes, and at the right time, you may see them all, but not tonight.
What reason have you for that?
Well, we're being watched a little too closely now. And there's 7 o'clock. Looks as if Jerry had played you false.
Jerry will be here.
Hello, everybody. Here I am, right on the dot.
Figured it mighty close, though, Jerry.
Well, how come? I said 7, and the clock was just striking as Johnson showed me to this room.
Now, what is your opinion as to Jerry's punctuality?
Better than I had hoped for. Won't you sit down, Jerry?
Oh, thanks. Gee, but you look nice, Mrs. Gregory.
Thank you, Jerry.
Do I not look nice, Jerry?
You're off to a bad start, son.
Oh, sure, you look nice. But, well, so does your mother. She comes first.
There, Joan. Now, that's a good example of what we were discussing. Jerry came to see you. We all know his interest is more in you than the rest of us. Yet he addressed me first, simply because I'm older.
No, I didn't. I said it because you look nice. I couldn't see anything else.
Jerry.
Go right ahead along those lines, boy, and Joan will ask Johnson to throw you out.
Well, gee, you know what I mean.
Oh, of course, Jerry. Now, you two forget your eternal quarreling for a few minutes and listen to what Tex and I have to say.
Oh, sure, Mrs. Gregory. But we got to go pretty quick, or it's going to make it too late to go to a show.
We are not going to a show.
Huh? What's wrong?
Nothing definite, but Tex and I have decided that it's not any too wise to allow you youngsters to run around at night just now.
Is that not silly, Jerry?
Well, it sure makes me feel like a baby, but maybe there's a reason for it.
There is, and a good one. Don't forget that there's one of the Euclidean scientists running around loose in this town. Or at least he was the last time we heard anything about him.
You refer to Thales?
Yes, dear, that Euclidean electrical wizard.
And you think Thales might try to do something to Joan or me?
Don't you think he might?
Well, yes. I guess so.
Jerry, I am disappointed in you.
Joan, don't forget that these Euclideans are still after my formula. Don't forget that they may not feel any too kindly disposed towards us after we left a couple of their submarines helpless out in the Catalina Channel. And above all, don't forget that they know we're planning another expedition to the island.
Oh, I know all that. Well, I guess you're right. We ought to stick pretty close together until this thing is over with.
If the danger is as great as that, why was it not dangerous for Jerry to come over here tonight alone?
Well, it was dangerous, Joan, and I should have thought of that during the day.
Well, you're here now, Jerry, and we'll see that you get home all right. But in the meantime, suppose we do a little planning.
About what?
Our return to Euclidia. You and Joan might have a lot of ideas that would prove helpful to us.
Yeah, and this time we'll know a lot more about what we're running into, won't we?
Jerry?
Yes, Mrs. Gregory?
Well, I know this isn't going to be pleasant news to you, or at least you'll think it isn't. But you won't be going with us when we return to the island.
Huh? I mean, what?
That is what Mother and the Captain have told me, Jerry. You and I are not to be allowed to accompany them on their trip to Euclidia.
But, gee, why not?
Too dangerous, Jerry, and you should be in school.
Oh, but it's just as dangerous for you folks.
That was my argument.
Joan will remain here, and you may spend as much time with her as your studies will permit, Jerry. But even here, you must be very careful.
Remember that there is at least one Euclidean in California, and he might decide to strike at you and Joan after we're gone.
Oh, you bet he might. And that's why I think Joan and I'd be a lot safer if we were with you.
Now, Jerry...
Yes, Mother, Jerry is quite correct. It would be most unwise to leave us here.
Nevertheless, we're going to do just that.
Well, what if somebody kidnaps Joan while you're gone?
That's your job, Jerry, to see that nothing of the sort happens.
That is not fair to Jerry. It is entirely too much of a responsibility for one so young.
Huh? Hey, how old do you think you are?
I know that I am right. It is not wise for us to remain here.
Well, we'll be the judges of that, Joan.
Well, Mrs. Gregory, I'm not trying to be rude, and I know that you're trying to do what you think is best for Joan and me. But we could be a lot of good to you. And if you leave us behind, well, we'll get a boat of our own and come down there anyway.
Steady, Jerry.
Jerry is correct. He does not mean to be disrespectful to either of you. But our place is with your expedition. And with your permission, or without it, we will return to Euclidia.
Joan, dear, do you realize what you're saying?
Oh, sure she does, Mrs. Gregory. We'll do anything you say. And we don't mean to be arguing with older people. But I'm going back to that magic island if I have to walk back.
14 years ago, Joan Gregory was lost in a shipwreck in the South Pacific Ocean. And 14 years her mother spent searching for her the world over. When Joan was found on the Magic Island, a strange place which the scientists living there have named Euclidia, it seemed that Mrs. Gregory's troubles were at an end. Now, however, we find that this is not the case, as the island of Euclidia contains so many powerful and unusual scientific devices and discoveries that it must be captured and its knowledge turned over to the world at large. Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford have decided to return to the island and take it over, using the captain's formula for the universal solvent as a weapon. Jerry and Joan are not to be taken along, and we'll see what Jerry and Joan think of that idea as we find them sitting on a bench on the corner of Hollywood and Vine in Hollywood.
Well, Joan, what do you think of it?
What do I think of what?
Oh, Hollywood.
It is very nice.
Is that all?
What did you expect me to say?
Oh, that it was swell and the greatest place you ever saw, and all that kind of talk.
I could not well say that, Jerry.
Well, why not?
How could I compare Hollywood with other places when it is the only place, except for Euclidia, that I have ever seen?
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Of course it is right.
Well, even if you can't tell whether it's better than any other place, you know if you like it or not, don't you?
I have said I liked it very much.
Yeah, you sound like it.
Jerry, you are a very strange person.
Huh?
You expect everyone to become wildly enthusiastic about anything you show them. Perhaps I am not as greatly impressed as you would wish.
Well, you ought to be. Look at all the automobiles scooting around here. What about that? You didn't have any cars on Euclidia.
We had no need for them. However, if the Euclideans were in charge of these passageways...
Hey, wait a minute. These things are streets, not passageways.
Very well, streets. If the Euclideans were in charge of these streets, there would be some semblance of order maintained. The manner in which various vehicles dash around each other is very poorly controlled.
Okay. Nobody likes the traffic any better than you do, but nobody's been able to figure out how to handle it any other way.
I believe I could suggest a plan.
You could?
Certainly.
Well, if you can do that, you'll find the police will give you a medal.
That does not sound correct.
Why? What's wrong with that?
A moment ago, you showed me a police officer arresting a man.
Well, yeah, sure. They arrest you if you do something wrong, but they can be mighty nice to you if you do something right, too.
I wonder if I will ever understand this strange country.
This strange country? After living on that crazy island, you think this country is strange?
On Euclidia, everything was well-ordered, regular, and perfectly controlled. While here, everyone seems to be doing much as they please.
Well, why not? This is a free country.
But everything is so carelessly done.
What's wrong now?
That lunch we had.
Oh, lunch? What was the matter with it?
We ate it without the slightest regard for what our previous meal had been. You made no attempt to note the quantity we consumed, and at least 2 of the ingredients of the meal duplicated items included in our breakfast this morning.
What's the difference how much we had or what it was? We had a good lunch, didn't we?
It was excellent.
Okay, then forget about what we had yesterday or what we're going to eat tomorrow. And you can forget all the rest of that sort of stuff you learned on that island, too.
Do you not consider my Euclidean training of value?
Oh, sure. When there's something scientific to be figured out, I guess you might come in handy. But when it comes to getting along with the rest of the folks around town, you won't do so good if you keep trying to fix everything you see the way they do it on the Magic Isle.
I'm merely trying to help.
Well, all right. But if you keep on telling everybody you meet how they ought to do things, you're going to help yourself to a lot of trouble.
What have I done that is so terrible?
Well, what did you say to that traffic cop?
Cop?
Well, officer then. Well, what did you say to him?
I merely tried to explain to him that his method of procedure was quite wrong.
Yeah, that's all you did. Just told the cop how to run a street corner.
Jerry, you must admit there was logic in my contention. If the officer would sound his whistle before a motorist did something wrong, would it not be better than waiting until after the fault was committed?
Oh, sure, swell. But how are you going to know that a man will break a traffic rule until you see him do it?
If the whistle was sounded continuously as a warning to all motorists, there would be no violations of rules.
And how long do you suppose people would stand for a cop standing on a corner blowing a whistle all the time?
The people would not like it.
Well, of course they wouldn't like it. You can't make a racket like that in the middle of a street and keep it up.
Perhaps I do not fully understand how things must be done here.
Well, you don't. And if you don't want to get in bed with everybody you meet, you'd better let things alone.
I'm sorry if you are angry with me, Jerry.
Oh, I'm not angry. I just don't like to see you being such a sap all the time.
A sap? What is a sap?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's only slang, and you don't like slang.
No, I do not like slang. It is so much easier to express oneself in English.
But slang is English.
Slang is no language.
Oh.
It was originated and has been furthered and added to by people who are too lazy to learn the collection of expressive modifying words which would allow greater expression than the weirdest slang phrases.
All right. I'm lazy.
Agreed.
Well, just the same, I know how to get along in this country. And if you want to do what I do, you'll get along better.
I am willing to do as you tell me, Jerry.
Okay. Now, we're going to see a picture show. And while we're in there, you mustn't make a sound. Don't say a word while the show is on.
Is not the picture show merely the projection of images from a celluloid strip of sensitized materials known to you as film?
That's it. And you can hear them talk, too, just like the stage.
Jerry, I do not enjoy correcting your misleading statements, but motion pictures cannot be like the stage. The characters in the picture are not actually alive.
Look, I don't mean to start a war over this. I just told you not to talk in the show.
But, Jerry, what will be the harm if I do speak in the show?
Well, people around you won't like it. They pay their money to listen to the actors. And if you've got any questions to answer, well, wait till the show's over.
Very well.
Hey, what's that extra about?
What is an extra?
Oh, something special in the paper. Big news of some kind.
News of what?
Well, how do I know till I see the paper? Hey, didn't he say something about 2 submarines?
Jerry, those 2 Euclidean submarines.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Hey, extra. Come over here, will you?
Come right up, buddy. Read all about it. They're fishing up submarines in our harbor now. There you are.
All right.
What does it say, Jerry?
They found them all right.
May I see the paper?
Oh, sure. Take a look.
2 strange submarines believed to be anchored in outer channels.
Yes, sir. That's them. They found them all right.
I am not sure. It says believed to be.
Well, pretty soon that means for sure. We know they're out there, and everybody else will know it soon.
But, Jerry, how could they see those 2 submarines in 6 fathoms of water?
How do you know they were in 6 fathoms of water?
That is how we left them.
Oh, sure. And that was the night before last at midnight.
Of course, it is possible that the submarine which was following us has been released from the magnetic bombs I placed near it.
Well, I'd say it was pretty sure they'd been freed before this.
Then that submarine would not be found by anyone.
Why not?
The commander would either return to Euclidia, or if G-47 ordered the vessel to aid Thales in his work locally, they would remain well hidden.
Maybe you're right about that. But how about the submarine we were in?
That would remain perfectly stationary in the position at which we stabilized it.
Well, that's your idea of it. Now, here's mine. This paper says 2 strange submarines were seen in the outer channel. And they don't get out extras about things like that unless they're pretty sure what they're talking about.
But 2 submarines could not have been seen.
But 2 submarines were seen.
Can you explain how that could be possible?
I think I can. Now listen to this. That submarine that was following us might have had to come up to the surface for a supply of air. And if they had to use all their air getting out of the spot we left them in. That right?
Such a thing is barely possible, though not probable.
Well, anything is probably possible with a problem. Oh, well, anything can happen with those Euclideans are concerned.
Granted.
Then if they had to pick up that outer sub, the one we escaped from, and if they were towing it with their electromagnets, wouldn't they bring their tow to the surface when they came up?
Jerry, you may be right.
Well, sure I'm right.
But why would the Euclideans do such a foolish thing as to come to the surface in the daylight?
Maybe they were having so much trouble with their boats that they didn't have any chance to stay underwater. Anyhow, they've been seen, and we'd better get right over to your mother's house and tell her and the captain.
But we were going to a moving picture show.
Well, golly whiskers, a picture show. Here, we've got the whole country excited over a couple of Euclidean submarines in the Los Angeles harbor, and you want to go to a picture show.
I have seen many Euclidean submarines, and never have I seen one of your moving pictures.
Well, you can see one some other time. We're going to your mother's and tell them all about this.
Will these extras, as you call them, not be available at Mother's house?
Well, not as quickly as we get them here at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. So I'll bet Johnson has heard it over the radio.
I beg your pardon, young man?
Huh? Oh, did you speak to me, sir?
Yes, I'm sorry to bother you, but as you can see, I am blind.
Yeah.
I wonder if you would do something for me.
Well, I haven't got very much, mister, but...
No, not that. I am not begging. That is, not begging for money. All I ask from you is a little information.
Oh, sure. What do you want to know?
I believe I heard a paper boy crying an extra.
Yeah, he's just up the street a little ways.
Perhaps you could call him for this gentleman, Jerry.
Well, I can try whistling.
No, young man. That would do no good. I could not read the paper after you secured it for me.
Oh, that's right.
I thought you might be willing to read me a few lines from your paper. Just the headlines, or tell me something of what the news is.
We can do that easily.
Oh, sure. It says they found 2 strange-looking submarines in the Catalina Island Channel.
2 strange submarines? From what country?
Well, that's what makes them so strange. They're not like any subs owned by any country in the world.
And what further news of them?
That's all. Maybe there'll be more out later.
Quite possibly. Thank you, young man. And you, young lady, perhaps I may help you when we meet again.
Say, there was something funny about that guy.
Yes, Jerry. That man will be very dangerous to us.
Well, how do you know?
He was not blind.
Not blind?
No, I was watching his eyes as I stood where I could see behind those glasses he wore. He was reading every word on the front page of your newspaper while you talked to him. And I have seen those eyes before this.
You what?
I have seen those eyes on the island of Euclidia. That man is Thales.
Thales? The Euclidean scientist who put Johnson's radio out of commission?
Same. Thales is watching us.
Oh, gee whiz. We'd better beat her right home and tell the captain your mother. Oh, why'd I let him walk away?
You could not be expected to know him. You only heard his voice over the radio, and he was carefully disguising it then.
Exploring tomorrow.
And now, here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell.
The term genius is fairly common in our language today. I wonder how many of you realize that the term originated with the old Arabian Nights concept of the genie. You know, the magical creature that came in a bottle and had such wonderful powers. The story is about a whole planet of geniuses. Genie. Interesting people to try to enslave, you know. Laboratory scientists have as much fun as anybody else, you know. One of the laboratory laws, sometimes called Finagle's Law or Murphy's Law, goes, in any laboratory experiment, if something can go wrong, it will. Well, this is the story of a planet-sized laboratory experiment in which something could go wrong.
Professor Heim to His Excellency Marshal Gorham. The ship is now in orbit about the planet of destination.
Good. Good. I have a lifeboat prepared for descent with an invisibility screen.
Yes, Your Excellency. How many crewmen will you want to take along?
None. There'll be just myself and you, Professor Heim.
Sir? You, the Marshal, landing on a barbarian world without even an escort? I'm begging your pardon, sir, but...
Do you mean that the Grand Marshal of the Galactic Imperial Armed Forces can't carry out an undercover inspection on a backward planet without a dozen Marines clanking in his wake?
No, sir. No, sir.
And please remember that the people down there have no weapon more powerful than a bow and arrow. Whereas I will be carrying a nuclear blaster under my coat.
Yes, sir. Of course, Your Excellency.
And while we are down there on that planet, Professor Heim, stand by for possible action. We may have to bombard the place with cobalt missiles. Wipe all the life off it.
Sterilize the entire planet, sir?
You heard me, Professor. I said we may have to. Not that we will. It depends on what I find down there. That peaceful, primitive world may turn out to be just another stupid scientific experiment. Or it may turn out to be the worst danger of the Empire and all its stars have faced for 1,000 years. Now, I want you, Professor. I'm in my office at once. Over.
Yes, Your Excellency. Over and out.
Oh, there you are, Professor Heim.
Yes, Marshal Gorham, here I am.
You've arrived at your experimental planet.
I know. I was just watching it float there among the constellations. I don't know a more beautiful sight in the universe.
Well, break out the native costumes for us, too. We're going down.
At once?
I am a military man, Professor, not one of your psychologists. Now, so far, your people have spent 1,500 years studying that planet. But as for me, there's war on the Imperial borders, and I can spare 3 days.
3 days to decide?
To decide whether we can let your experiment go on or whether to discontinue it, shall I say?
But only 3 days. Marshal, you don't realize it would take a week just to explain the statistics of...
I know, I've heard it all. 1,500 years ago, the Psychological Research Foundation decided to learn what makes human history tick by running controlled experiments. So it took a lot of uninhabited planets and put different kinds of people on them.
Oh, their memories wiped out, Marshal. The first generation started out knowing as little as animals. They had to discover everything for themselves. Fire, language, the wheel. Do you imagine that their descendants could have learned enough to menace us? To threaten an empire that for 3,000 years has controlled millions of planetary systems?
We've been through all this before, I've told you again and again, I'm not worried about your other experimental worlds. They're still cavemen or less. But this planet here, pure genius stock. A planet where nobody has an IQ below 150. And God knows how high they go. Well, I just can't tell about them. And His Majesty is worried, too. There have been rumors. He sent me here himself to decide whether or not those rumors could be true.
But the people down there don't even know the Galactic Empire exists. Why, the men there are still farming with plows and sailing in steamships.
Sure. What of it? Ordinary men on Earth with an average IQ of 100 needed maybe 500,000 years to get as far as your geniuses have in 1,500. I understand they've already developed Newtonian physics, chemical batteries, telescopes, world governments. At that rate, they'll be visiting the other planets of this system in 50 years. They'll reach the stars in a century, and then they'll be loose in the Galactic Empire. Do you think they'd fit tamely into the caste system, like good subjects of the Emperor? Why, they couldn't even if they tried. They'd produce a new invention and a new philosopher every day. And that would mean the end of stability, and that, Professor, would mean the end of the Empire.
So you say, but you're a soldier. You don't understand.
Yes, I know. I'm a dirty militarist who can't see past the end of my own guns. All I'm good for is killing, huh? And you're a noble intellectual scientist. Yeah. I've heard that guff before, Professor, and I've gotten pretty tired of it.
But I tell you, the genius people are cooperative and...
My orders are to inspect the place and decide for myself whether they're right or not. So that's what I'm going to do. Come along, Hein.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment. When driving, luck can stay with you for years. But on the road, it can leave you in a split second, a tragic split second. So drive carefully. You will live longer, and you will arrive alive.
There's been considerable discussion of what constitutes good and evil over the last few millenniums. But, you know, there's an interesting comment someone made. I don't know where it did originate. Melodrama is the conflict between good and evil. And tragedy is the conflict between good and good. When two good men, each with a good point to make, get into conflict, that's where real tragedy starts.
All right, Professor. I've got the lifeboat into the atmosphere and leveled off. So where do I head now? Hi. Wake up, you wool-headed dreamer.
I'm sorry, Marshal. I was thinking, looking out the porthole and thinking.
What about?
How lovely the sky is. So blue. And the land below, mountains and forests and hopeful young farms.
Oh, no, a poet yet. Well, I'm thinking about my job of inspection. Where shall we go?
Fly northeast for 700 kilometers and you'll find this planet's largest city. It's also the capital of the world government.
That'll do. I should be able to observe a pretty good cross-section of the genius race.
Do you seriously believe you can decide the fate of an entire world on the basis of what you see in one city? How do you expect to learn anything, even there? You don't speak any of the local languages, not even the international one that developed.
You'll talk for both of us. We'll claim to be visitors from a long ways off, the opposite hemisphere. We'll just wander around town for a couple of days, and I'll get the feel of the place.
You mean you decide whether these people live or die just on the basis of a hunch?
Now, here we are. Landed in an empty meadow. You sure nobody will happen by?
Well, what do they do? The lifeboat is invisible.
Even so. Well, we don't want the genius people learning the truth, do we, Professor?
No, of course not. On that, you and I do agree. But my own motive is that I don't want to spoil the experiment.
Come on, let's get moving. We'll have to hike into the city. Oh, it's nice outdoors. Sunshine. I don't know when I last breathed air that didn't come out of a tank.
And you turn all this into black radioactive ash.
Come on, I said. Let's start walking. There's a road. It's pretty well paved.
Oh, yes. 10 years ago, this was a livestock trail. Today, they're driving steam automobiles over it. I predict that 10 years from now, the first airplane will use this for a landing strip.
But where's the mass market to support all that progress?
There isn't much of one. Actually, most people here are still riding around in buggies. You see, they have a unique social system. The average man on this planet would rather buy a new book than a new gadget. But at the same time, their engineers keep on making inventions because a mind of such power can't help being creative.
And I tell you, the Empire can't afford what you call creativeness. So this is their biggest city.
Right. There are about 1 million people in it.
You call that a city?
Considering the small population of this world, yes.
It's backward, all right. Carts pulled by animals. Water pumped by windmills. Bearded men in clothes of vegetable fiber. Wood and plaster houses. Gas lamps.
That's what I keep telling you, Marshal. These people aren't demons. They're as human as you and I. They're born the same way as us. Grow up, learn, love, laugh, weep, and die like human beings anywhere in all space and time. They simply happen to be more intelligent. Let them live.
70 generations ago, they were savages. They didn't even know how to chip a flint. And now they've come to this.
Yes. Our observers mingling with them in disguise have already learned more about historical dynamics than...
Oh, sure, this city is still primitive. But in another 100 years, they have schools, laboratories. They don't frown on artists and scientists and philosophers. They glorify them. So, in 100 years, they'll be out among the stars. And we don't dare allow that.
But they won't, Marshal, not necessarily. If only you'd let me show you the economic data. For instance, the great uninhabited spaces they still have right on their home planet.
Shut up, I'm thinking.
Thinking? I don't think you're able to.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I have a knife, Grand Marshal Gorham. You don't know that, do you? You think I'm just another ineffectual little dreamer, don't you? Well, you may find out different.
If by militarist we mean someone who believes that it is necessary to use physical force to carry out, to implement a theory, a belief, then it looks to me like Professor Heim has become a militarist. He intends to use force, doesn't he?
Parole tu solo, Perdem.
Saban, Hoste.
What did he say, that bellhop or whatever he was?
He wished us good night in the international language. He thinks we're foreigners, you remember?
Ha! If he only knew how foreign.
That's a cheap way to feel superior, isn't it?
Oh, shut up, Heim. I'm still trying to decide what to do about this planet. There are too many paradoxes. The waiter in the restaurant wanted to ask you about the ethnology of the country he thought we came from. This is a nice, clean hotel room, but it doesn't have running water. And yet the clerk downstairs was reading what I swear must have been a mathematical journal.
Does that make them monsters? Under the social system here, such routine jobs are done by students. And, of course, every person on this planet goes through at least 5 years of college. But that's all it amounts to, Gorham.
A whole world of long-haired dreamers who are experimenting with aircraft and rockets, who developed the theory of evolution before they learned how to smelt iron. I don't trust them.
Of course, you don't understand them. You're too... I mean...
Too stupid? Isn't that what you're going to say, Professor? I'm just a dumb militarist who worked his way from private soldier to Grand Marshal of the Galactic Empire. No fine scientist, just a hired hand keeping the barbarian raiders off your scientific back. Well, Professor Heim, I happen to be the man who will decide what's to become of this planet of geniuses.
And have you decided yet, Your Excellency?
Not yet. I can still take a couple of days to...
2 more days? After the Foundation worked for 1,500 years?
Hey, what are you doing?
This is a knife in my hand, Marshal Gorham. Don't move. If you reach for that blaster, I'll kill you.
Gone crazy, huh?
No. You're the crazy one. You're the lunatic who would blot out man's last best hope, this planet. You allow yourself 3 days to decide the whole future of the world. Unbuckle that blaster. Don't let your hand come near the trigger. Out. Drop it on the floor. Kick it over to me. So. Now I've got you where I want you.
But, Professor, I haven't decided anything yet. I might decide this experiment is safe. I might still report to the Emperor. There's nothing to be afraid of. He can forget your race.
Yes, you might. But I know you won't. I'm going to kill you, Marshal Gorham. I'm going to report to the spaceship captain that you died accidentally. And then I'm going to hope that the next Imperial Inspector will be more reasonable.
Look out! Stand back, you fool! Don't!
I only stabbed you in the arm that time, Marshal Gorham. But you're in a corner now. I'll get you this time.
Go! Go, Veridan!
Go along, or I don't go along, you right?
Ustanik Sholti Klo! Klo!
You spoke their language. You already know the language of this planet.
The attendant has the key, of course. He's coming in. Drop that knife, Professor Heim. He's a husky chap.
Shalom.
Yai. Take la odore. Drop that knife, I said, Professor.
Yes, of course.
Sit down, Heim. You look more shocked than I am. Gavla no ma, Joan. He's gone after the first aid kit for me. Not that you hurt me seriously.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
And you're a native of this planet yourself.
Yes. I was born here, though I've lived most of my life out in the Empire.
We thought we were keeping a planet full of geniuses in ignorance. How long have you known?
We began to suspect the truth 500 years ago, when we discovered that all life had evolved from lower forms, but couldn't find a subhuman ancestor for man. And finally, your disguised observers were identified. We even used blind man techniques to spot those wearing invisibility screens. Did you really expect you could go on fooling a race with twice your brain power?
Well, we thought so. Yes, I suppose it was foolish.
Some of us wormed our way into space as throwaways or in disguise, that sort of thing. People here live quietly, so as not to give the show away. We don't tell our children the truth till they're old enough to keep up the pretense. But meanwhile, for the past 300 years, our agents have been out in the Empire, learning everything you know, posing as citizens, working up into the key positions of your government. We can do that by sheer merit.
Yes, obviously you can become imperial marshals.
Right. And when the Emperor got suspicious, he sent me, his trusted soldier, a notorious anti-intellectual, to check up for him. Naturally, I was going to give this planet a clean bill of health, but I had to string you along first to make it look good. Evidently, I put on a better act than I had planned.
And now that I know your secret?
I'll have to report that you were accidentally killed here, Professor. But don't worry. All you have to do is spend the rest of your life here as one of us. I don't think you'll mind that.
Oh, no, not personally. I'd enjoy it. I used to envy the people on this world. But when your race, I mean, when you've completely taken over the Galactic Empire from within, what do you plan to do?
Well, we'll remodel it, shall I say. I'm afraid you wouldn't understand exactly what we intend to do. It's a little beyond your grasp, but it will be for the benefit of the ordinary galactic citizen, too. The poor, backward, benighted galactic empire.
They say that the first requirement for teaching a dog to do tricks is that you have to know more than the dog. If you want to teach a planet full of geniuses to do tricks for you, first make sure you know more than the geniuses. You can enslave some kinds of entities, but you can't enslave, you can't impose on entities who are more intelligent, more thoughtful, more wise than you yourself. What will happen is they'll turn out to be helping you in disguise.
Join us for a fascinating adventure in Exploring Tomorrow. Heard in our cast tonight were Ron Dawson and Al Ruscio. Script was by Powell Anderson, produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. Guy Wallace speaking.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman! Up in the sky! Look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
And now, Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, wages a never-ending battle for truth and justice. In our last episode, we learned how Kent, on board a steamship sailing from Panama to the United States, received two mysterious messages warning him of danger to come. Jimmy Olsen and Pug Flanagan, Kent's companions on the voyage, decided it was time to investigate the ship's cargo. In the darkness of the forward hold, they found what seemed like sacks of sugar piled almost to the ceiling. Just then, a passing deckhand, noticing that the iron door to the hold was ajar, slammed it shut and threw the latch, locking the boys in. For a moment, Jimmy and Pug were stunned, but decided to find out what was in the sacks before calling for help. However, in attempting to remove one of them, the pile was dislodged and came tumbling down. Listen.
Oh, look out, they're falling on top of you.
Oh. Pug. Pug, where are you? Pug! He's buried under the sacks. I gotta get him out. Pug! Pug, answer me! I can't move these sacks fast enough. They're too heavy. I need help. Help! Help! Open this door! Help!
Bruising his knuckles against the heavy iron door, Jimmy valiantly tries to summon help to free Pug from beneath an avalanche of heavy sacks. Meanwhile, 3 decks above, well out of earshot, Clark Kent waits for the boys at the shuffleboard court as the ship clears the harbor and heads for the open sea.
I wonder what's keeping Jimmy and Pug. I think they'd be interested in seeing the boat pull out of the harbor. Well, maybe I'd better go down and get them. Well, here comes one of our passengers. The young lady we saw in the dining room. Good morning.
It's much more than just a good morning. It's a wonderful morning. Aren't you the gentleman traveling with the 2 boys?
Uh-huh. My name's Clark Kent.
How do you do? I'm Joan Barrington.
How do you do?
You've probably heard of my father.
Not Dr. Michael Barrington, the surgeon?
That's right.
Oh, then you're English.
Right again. Dad and I have been in Africa organizing hospital units for the army.
Oh, that's so.
We're going back home now, and everyone's decided this was the safest route.
Mm-hmm. Ordinarily it would be, but I think you and your father should know that queer things have been happening aboard this ship.
What do you mean, Mr. Kent?
Oh, now, don't misunderstand. It may not be serious at all, but, you know, being a newspaper man, I'm always suspicious.
Now you have me gasping with suspense. What is it that's happened?
Well, since boarding the ship, I've received 2 warning notes. One by messenger that said not to sail, and one under my breakfast plate that said, beware. I've already spoken to the captain about it, but got nowhere.
That's very strange.
Of course, as you probably know, there are only 8 passengers on board. You, your father, 3 of us, 2 coffee merchants, and an elderly woman.
That is rather unusual, isn't it?
Well, we're carrying a large cargo. A cargo the nature of which the captain refuses to reveal.
You think perhaps it's contraband, Mr. Kent?
Well, I can't say, but I'd like very much to know.
Couldn't we find out somehow?
Don't say anything. Here comes the sailor.
Don't you just love traveling by boat, Mr. Kent?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. There's nothing like it, Miss Barrington.
I guess it's safe now. As I was saying, couldn't we find out what the cargo is?
Only by going down into the hold.
Well, then why don't we? Come on, yes.
Well, Jimmy and Pug are supposed to meet me here at the shuffleboard court.
Oh, it won't take long. Come on.
All right. If the captain ever finds out, he's not going to like it. I imagine this corridor leads to the forward hold.
Oh, I'm just quivering with excitement.
That iron door up ahead is the one we want.
Wouldn't it be funny if the cargo was
Wait a
just...
minute.
What's the matter?
Oh, I heard a muffled cry. Listen.
Yes, I heard it.
It's coming from behind that iron door. Someone's locked in there. Quick! Oh, lucky there's only a latch on it. Stand back, Miss Barrington. Jimmy!
Oh, one of your boys.
But Jimmy, what happened? What are you doing here?
Pug. He's under the sacks.
What?
They fell on him.
Miss Barrington.
Yes?
Take him to my cabin. It's 22 on C deck. At once, please. Have your father look him over, will you?
I'll get the other one. Can you walk, Jimmy?
I think so. Find Pug.
Yes, sure. Don't worry. I'll find him. Now, don't you worry. Go ahead.
That's it, Jimmy. Just take it easy. We'll manage.
I had to get her out of the way because this looks like a job for Superman. Pug buried under those sacks. No time to waste. I'll have him free in a moment. This stuff isn't light. Jimmy probably tried to move it, but couldn't. There we are. There he is. Now to lift him out. Carefully. Yeah, that does it. Oh, the poor kitty's out cold. Alive, thank goodness. The lucky thing that girl brought me down here. Another few minutes might have told a different story. I'll carry him up to the cabin as Clark Kent and her father examine.
Are they all right, Father?
Yes, nothing serious, June.
Jimmy's knuckles are bruised and he's exhausted, but he'll pull through.
What about Pug? Is that his name?
You found him just in time. He might have suffocated if he'd been down there much longer.
Well, I can thank you for that, Miss Barrington.
But we never did find out what the cargo is.
Well, yes, we did. You see, I broke open one of the sacks. I have a sample wrapped in this piece of paper. There we are. What does it look like, Dr. Barrington?
Nitrate.
Mm-hmm. That was my guess.
What's nitrate?
A substance used in the manufacture of explosives.
So that's what this ship was carrying. That's why there are only 8 passengers on board.
In the light of this discovery, Mr. Kent, the 2 warning messages you received take on new meaning, I should say.
Oh, why should I be the only one to receive warning?
Yes. Why?
You say there are 8 passengers?
Mm-hmm. You and your daughter, Jimmy, Pug, and myself, 2 coffee merchants, and an elderly lady.
Has it occurred to you, Mr. Kent, that you and the 2 boys are probably the only Americans on this ship?
Well, that's no doubt true, but
And being Americans, you were the only ones warned to get off?
Do you mean that something's going to happen to the ship, Father?
It rather looks like that.
Hadn't we better tell the captain?
He knows we're carrying nitrate, Miss Barrington. He also knows about the messages of warning.
But if we're in danger...
We've been in danger before,
Yes,
June.
I know, but...
Come in. Well, Jimmy, I thought you were supposed to rest.
I'm okay now, Mr. Kent. I wanted to find out what was happening.
Jimmy, this is Miss Barrington, Dr. Barrington's daughter.
We introduced ourselves coming up from the hold, didn't we, Jimmy?
Yes. What's cooking, Mr. Kent? What was in those sacks?
Nitrate, Jimmy. Something used to make explosives.
Wow.
That's nothing to get excited about.
Well, Miss Barrington looks excited, and so do you. Well, what are we going to do?
A very sensible question, Jimmy.
Have you any suggestions, Dr. Barrington?
Nothing very constructive, I'm afraid. I suppose we could hold a meeting of the passengers on board and apprise them of the situation.
Well, there are only 3 besides ourselves. The 2 coffee men and the old lady.
Well, I think they should know.
Yeah, all right. I'll get the 2 men. Miss Barrington, suppose you and Jimmy locate and escort the little old lady to this cabin, will you? I believe the purser said she's in C-33.
Right you are. Come on, Jimmy.
And try not to let any of the crew know what's brewing.
Don't worry, we won't.
That's 6 bells, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yes. All is not so well.
What captain did we discover our little old lady was occupying?
You mean the cabin?
Yes.
Number 33, right here on C deck. Must be at the end of this corridor.
I hope she can stand the shock of learning there are tons of nitrates right under her.
Oh, here's number 33.
Shall I knock?
I guess so. No. Wait.
What is it?
Put your ear close to the door.
All right.
Hear anything?
Sounds like a bird chirping.
No. It's a wireless key. Someone's sending a message.
What do you mean?
I know Morse code. I learned it from Sparks on the Clara M. Maybe I can follow it.
Stop. I think you're just imagining things, Jimmy. What would a little old lady be doing sending wireless messages?
I don't know, but I'm sure I heard... There it is again.
It's a bird, Jimmy.
No, listen. This is what it says. Our position, midnight, 150 miles due north of Cologne. Everything in readiness. We'll contact you again hourly to report on progress.
The mystery seems to be thickening. Can Jimmy be right? Is the little old lady in stateroom 33 sending a wireless message? Don't forget to tune in next time for another thrilling episode with Superman.
Tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. Presenting the transcription feature, Superman!
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
And now, Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. Things are happening thick and fast aboard the steamship carrying Kent, Jimmy Olsen, and Pug Flanagan from Panama to the United States. To begin with, Kent received two mysterious messages warning him of danger aboard the ship. Then Jimmy and Pug discovered the ship's cargo was nitrate, a substance used in the manufacture of explosives. Our story continues today. Kent has decided to call a meeting of the 8 passengers on board. He's gone to summon the 2 Brazilian coffee merchants while Jimmy, accompanied by June Barrington, an English girl, are on their way to invite one of the passengers, an elderly woman, to the meeting. Listen.
This is the cabin, number 33.
Shall I knock?
I guess so. No. Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Put your ear close to the door.
All right. Listen. Sounds like a bird chirping.
No. It's Morse code. Someone in that cabin is sending a wireless message.
Oh, Jimmy, how fantastic. What would an old lady be doing?
Maybe I can understand it. I know some Morse code.
Well?
I'm getting it. Ship will be 150 miles north of Cologne at midnight. Everything in readiness. Will contact you hourly.
It stopped. Jimmy, what does it mean?
Somebody in that cabin sending a message telling where this ship will be at midnight.
But why?
I don't know, but I've got a good idea. Look, Miss Barrington, you go up and get Mr. Kent. I'll stay here to see that nobody leaves this cabin.
Oh, but Jimmy, you must be wrong. That little old lady wouldn't be sending wireless messages.
Please, Miss Barrington, go get Mr. Kent.
All right, but he'll think we're both crazy. Wireless messages. Why, I never heard of anything so silly.
Nothing crazy about this. If it wasn't Morse code, I'll eat my hat. Ship will be 150 miles from Cologne at midnight. Everything in readiness. Readiness for what? Oh!
Did I frighten you when I opened the door?
Oh, no. I mean,
You wanted to see me, young man?
Why, no. I mean, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Won't you come in, please?
Thank you.
That's right. I think it was very nice of you to visit me.
Mr. Kent. Mr. Kent.
Yes, Miss Barrington?
Listen. Jimmy and I were supposed to invite that little old lady to the meeting of passengers.
Yes?
We got to the door of her stateroom, and I was just about to knock when Jimmy said he heard Morse code.
What?
That's what he said. Morse code.
Where is Jimmy?
Waiting outside the cabin door. He told me to come up and get you.
Good for him. Where's the cabin?
Here, I'll show you. This is the corridor, and the cabin's at the end of it. Mr. Kent.
What is it?
Well, he's not there.
Who's not there?
Jimmy. I left him standing right outside that door. He's gone.
Now, don't get excited. Is this the cabin?
Yes. Number 33. Huh? What do you think happened to Jimmy, Mr. Kent? He said he was going to stay.
I'm sorry to disturb you, madam, but I'd like to speak with you. I'm one of the passengers.
Oh, just a moment, please. Mr. Kent, you think...
Quiet.
I was just lying down for a few minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Won't you both come in? Passengers on a ship should get to know one another. Don't you think?
Mr. Kent, ask her about Jimmy.
I beg your pardon?
We were planning a meeting of all the passengers, and we sent one of my young charges down to ask you to attend. Have you seen him?
Oh, yes. He was a very polite young man. But I explained to him that climbing the steps is quite a hardship for me. I'm not a spring chicken, you know.
But he was here? He spoke to you?
Yes, he said he was sorry I couldn't attend the meeting.
Well, I guess that's all. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're quite welcome, I'm sure.
Mr. Kent.
Don't say anything. All right, you can talk now.
I don't quite know what to say. I'm speechless.
There's one thing I don't understand. If Jimmy thought it was important enough to send for me, why did he knock at her door and tell her about the meeting?
She seemed like a nice old lady. I didn't see any wireless set in her cabin.
No, neither did I. It was a trunk and a suitcase, that's all. We'll probably find Jimmy up in my cabin, ready to explain everything.
I hope so. Did you locate the 2 coffee merchants?
Oh, yes. Neither of them speak a word of English. Your father made a valiant attempt to get them to understand, but I'm afraid he failed. Here we are.
Father, is Jimmy here?
Jimmy? Why, no. Didn't you tell him to get one of the passengers?
You haven't seen him, Dr. Barrington?
Not since he left with June.
I knew it. I knew it.
June? What's the trouble?
Jimmy seems to be missing, Doctor.
Yes.
He and your daughter went down to invite that elderly lady to our meeting, and Jimmy thought he heard a Morse code signal coming out of her cabin. He sent your daughter to get me. When we arrived, he was gone, and the lady told us he'd invited her to the meeting.
I'm sure something's happened to him.
Nonsense. He must be somewhere on the ship.
Well, maybe in his own cabin with Pug.
No, I just looked in there. Pug is alone, sleeping.
I'd better search the ship. Jimmy has a habit of stumbling into trouble.
But I'll help you. You stay here, June, in case he returns while we're gone.
If he does, Miss Barrington, keep him here.
Don't worry, I will.
I'm quite certain we locate him, Mr. Kent. After all, he couldn't.
As Clark Kent and Dr. Barrington prepare to search the ship from stem to stern, one of the white-clad dining room waiters slips silently along a corridor and knocks on the door of stateroom 33.
It is Hans. Drop the phony voice and open up.
All right. Why did you come here? I told you it was dangerous.
I would like to know how things are going. Did you make contact?
Yes. Midnight is the hour. Since you're here, you might just as well know that we had a close call.
What do you mean?
Those Americans, the men and the 2 boys, the ones we want to get off the ship.
Yeah, what about them?
One of the boys was listening at the door while I was making contact.
No.
Don't worry, he's safe. Locked in that trunk.
What are you going to do with him?
That remains to be seen. As you know, we cannot fail.
Yeah.
Nothing must stand in our way.
Yeah.
So if necessary, we will get rid of the trunk. You understand? In the meantime, take this suitcase and throw it overboard. Be careful you're not seen.
It contains the virus set?
Yes, it will not be necessary to make contact again. I think it may be dangerous to have it in this cabin.
No. Who would ever suspect you an old lady? You almost fooled me when you came into the dining room. The wig, the dress.
Never mind. Do as I say. Wait, we have another man on board, haven't we?
Yeah, in the engine room.
Good. I may need both of you later on. Take the suitcase now and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Wait.
Who is it?
Sorry to bother you again, but I'd like to ask you a few questions.
It's the American.
Just a minute.
Here is the key to the adjoining cabin. Wait there until I go. I may need you. Be quiet.
All right, Jacob.
Just a minute, please. I'm sorry I kept you waiting.
Oh, that's quite all right. This is Dr. Barrington.
Oh, how do you do, Doctor?
How do you do?
Won't you come in, please?
Yes, thank you.
I must apologize for my cabin. It's quite disordered.
Madam, you may think this is a little strange, but we're still trying to find the young boy I inquired about some time ago.
Oh, I don't understand.
You were the last person who saw him.
I just spoke with him for a moment. He was very polite.
Yes, I know. You mentioned that before.
Young man, you're rather impertinent.
Mr. Kent, what was that?
Sounded like it came from the trunk. What's in that trunk?
Why, my personal belongings.
Would you mind opening it?
Well, isn't that an unusual request?
A lot of unusual things have been happening. Open the trunk.
Young man, I must ask you to leave my cabin.
Not until that trunk's open.
Why, you young whippersnapper?
Dr. Barrington, would you mind getting the captain? You don't have to bother. I don't want to create a scene. I'll open the trunk if that's all you desire. I have the key here in my handbag. Yes? Right here.
Put your hands up, both of you.
That's a very strange-looking key with a muzzle on it.
Never mind the comments. Back up against the wall. Hans. Yeah. Find Dr. Barrington's daughter and bring her here. Tell her that her father wants her.
You don't have to mix my daughter up in this.
Unfortunately, you're all well mixed. You failed to heed my warnings not to sail on this ship. So you must suffer.
Oh, so you were responsible for those messages, eh? That explains a lot of things, including your masquerading as an old woman.
Let that go? Yes. Leave the wireless set here. It will no longer be necessary to get rid of it. Bring the girl quickly now.
Why don't you open the trunk now and release the boy?
I can see no harm in that. Here's the key. You open it. And remember, I have you covered. You may take the gag off the boy's mouth.
That's very kind of you. Wait a minute. There we are, Jimmy.
It was hot in there. And Mr. Kent, that old lady, she's a man.
Yes, we know.
Back against the wall, all of you. Come in, Miss Barrington.
Oh.
It's quite all right, June.
Yes, quite all right. Stand against the wall, Miss Barrington. Close the door, Hans, and set up the wireless job. I deeply regret having to cause any of you embarrassment and discomfort, but unfortunately you brought it on yourselves by virtue of your own curiosity.
We're not interested in listening to speeches.
This speech will interest you, my friend. It will interest all of you very much.
What do you mean?
Precisely at midnight, this ship is going to the bottom of the ocean. And unfortunately, you are going with it.
Oh.
Goodbye, Mr. Corbett. Very well, Hans. Make contact.
What can Clark Kent do in the face of this diabolical threat on the lives of everyone aboard the steamship? Does he dare reveal himself as Superman in order to save the ship and passengers from destruction? Don't forget to tune in next time for another thrilling adventure with Superman.
Tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman.
Up in the sky. Look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Tom Corbett. Space Cadet. -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. For the cadets at Space Academy, the most exciting phase of training begins on a huge field, scarred and pitted by the blasts of raw power needed to break Earth's mighty clutch of gravity and set men free to rocket toward distant planets. For this is the Academy's spaceport, takeoff point for duty, adventure, and danger. Today, the entire Academy fleet of spaceships is out on the field ready to blast off on a mysterious mission. On the control deck of the rocket cruiser Polaris, cadet pilot Tom Corbett, Roger Manning, and Astro await Commander Arkwright's orders.
Attention! Attention, all cadet units!
Hey, listen, there's Commander Arkwright on the teleceiver.
Well, it's about time. Hear this. Doubtless you've all been wondering why you've received no advance orders on today's mission. The reason is simple. As officers of the Solar Guard, you will often have to go into action without advance notice. For instance, when you are sent to track down and subdue an outlaw or enemy ship. As you want to do now.
Hey, hear that, fellas? I suppose we're really going after an outlaw? Of course not, you Venusian clump.
Your mission will not be a real one, of course. The supposed criminal ship will actually be the Solar Guard cruiser Arcturus, piloted by Captain Strong.
Lucky guy. So that's why the skipper hasn't shown up. What happens to us now? Do we just sit here?
As you all know, Captain Strong is in charge of the Polaris Polaris unit, and obviously cannot be aboard the Polaris now since he's been gone for several hours. It has been decided that the Academy's training program will be greatly aided by making this entirely a cadet operation. Therefore, on this mission, each cadet unit will be in charge of its own ship.
Oh, brother, listen to that. Sounds good. Instead of taking orders from Captain Strong, we'll be chasing.
I'll bet he leads us a real chase, too.
So here are your instructions for training maneuver 32. Or, as Captain Strong calls it, Operation Hide and Seek.
Hide and seek?
The outlaw was reported entering Earth's orbit at point A25 in Sector 12. This report from Terra Station. Moon observers have spotted the ship leaving our orbit at point M47, Sector 89.
Got that, Roger? Naturally, Junior,
All
naturally.
ships are to proceed to the last point of observation and pick up Captain Strong's trail, which may lead anywhere in the solar system. Then track him down and engage him in mock battle. Of course, you are not expected to defeat such an expert pilot.
Think you can lick him down?
Top space ace like the captain? Not yet.
But you will be graded on your battle tactics, as revealed by photographic recorders, and also on the knowledge and intelligence you bring to your training. Not just on how soon you find the Arcturus, since that may depend partly on luck.
Not when I'm doing the plotting.
Okay, hotshot. Just see that you produce results.
One more thing. As I said, there is a strong possibility of danger, and you must be prepared to face it. You know that ships have been vanishing from the space lanes recently. One of them, the Academy cruiser Pollux, which disappeared 3 months ago on a routine flight. So keep your eyes peeled for trouble. Now, take your stations and prepare to blast off.
Let's go, Roger. Astro. Okay.
And spaceman's luck to all of you.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Fellas and girls, let me take you for a tour around the mess hall here at Space Academy. Well, it's breakfast time now, and all the cadets are down here eating. Up front there, you can see the main table. That's reserved for the officers. There's Commander Arkwright, one of his aides now. You know, Commander Arkwright sets a good example for the cadets at breakfast time. Right now, he's helping himself to a big bowl full of Kellogg's Pep. Oh, and there's Tom Corbett. Let's say hello.
Hi there. I heard what you said about Commander Arkwright eating Kellogg's Pep. Well, that's no surprise. I'm eating Pep, too. And if you look around, you'll see just about all the cadets eating Pep. We've got a tough day ahead, and we have to keep in shape. That's why it's Kellogg's Pep for breakfast. Kellogg's Pep helps us stay on the ball in gym and in the classroom, too. Everybody knows you can't make a good showing if you don't start your day with a hearty breakfast. That's why smart spacemen start their day with Kellogg's Pep.
That's right, Tom. You spacemen listening, take a tip from Tom Corbett. Start your day the spaceman's way. Ask Mom to serve up a man-sized helping of the better-than-ever build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
As the rocket cruiser Polaris hurtles away from Earth, Tom, Roger, and Astro are at their stations, ready to track down the Arcturus, commanded by Captain Strong, lurking somewhere in the depths of space. Now, as the powerful atomic drive speeds the Polaris out of Earth's atmosphere, Tom checks his unit mates.
Control to power deck. Check in, Astro.
Morning, guy.
How's everything down there?
Ship shape, Tom. The rockets are purring like kittens.
Great. Check you later. End transmission. Control deck to radar bridge. Check in.
Radar bridge, aye.
Any astrogation data ready yet, Roger?
Long ago, sonny boy. Long ago.
Sorry, big shot. I should have known. Okay, let's have the correction for deviation from course.
Coming up. Starboard 24 degrees, 17 minutes, up 3 degrees.
Starboard 20... What?
You heard me, space boy. Starboard 24 degrees, 17 minutes.
24? Hey, what goes here? You call yourself an astrogator, Roger? Do you know that your figures would take us inside Mars orbit instead of the spot where the Arcturus was last seen?
Sure, I know it.
You know it? Well, what are you trying to do, knock us out of this operation?
Hey, what's going on here?
I'm glad you came up, Astro. Our genius on the radar bridge is taking us way off course.
What? Just simmer down, kiddies, and listen, Uncle Roger.
Okay, let's have it. Fast.
Listen, Commander Arkwright gave us 2 points where the Arcturus had been seen, not just the last one. So I plotted its course and then extended it by extrapolation.
Extra what?
Now, don't let it throw you, bird brain. It just means using known facts to reach a logical mathematical conclusion.
You logical?
Sure. By
Why, even if the Arcturus went into an evasion curve, we'd pick up the trail hours before the others.
He could be right, Astro.
But Commander Arkwright said proceed to the last point, and he also said it wasn't enough just to be fast.
Exactly. He said we should prove our knowledge and intelligence, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, genius. But look, suppose those first figures were just stuck in to make it sound like an actual mission. Then where would you be?
Nowhere. But would a guy like the commander just stick in a set of figures? He'd make sure they were real ones.
Yeah, he probably would.
Well, come on, let's go.
Hold your jets. Astro, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. It sounds good, but I'm never sure about Roger's shortcuts. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, right now, I don't know either. I'd sure like to have the Polaris come in first and best, but I'd hate to have her last and worst.
Well, come on, Junior. Make up your mind.
All right, Roger. We'll do it your way.
Attaboy.
But believe me, brother, you'd better be right. Control deck to radar bridge. Control deck to radar bridge. Roger, check in, will you?
Blast it, Tom. Stop bothering me. I have to watch the sniffer for radiation traces.
Well, Astro and I have been waiting down here for an hour. Isn't there any sign of the Arcturus' trail yet?
No, I'll let you know when there is.
Yeah, if there is.
There will be. Hey, Great Jupiter, we just entered the probability area. Just keep your gyro steady, fellas. I'll call you in transmission.
Huh. Keep our gyros steady, with our Academy ratings depending on his judgment.
Yeah, if he's followed us up, our names will be mud around the Academy.
You're so right, pal. Well, we might as well stay out with the rest of the space junk if anything happens.
Radar bridge control deck. Port 1 degree. Keep her level.
Right. Okay, Roger, on course. Have you got something?
Yeah, on the trail. Hold the ship steady as she goes.
Hey, nice going, Roger.
Think nothing of it, Astro. It's just a little old miracle.
Are you sure you're not just picking up cosmic radiation, Miracle Man?
Now, look, Corbett, I know the difference between random rays and a spaceship pattern. This is the Arcturus track. I'll bet my last cent on it.
Okay. I'm holding steady on your course.
That's it. Stick with Uncle Roger and his little sniffer, and you'll wear medals.
Yeah, if we don't wear out first.
Hey, genius.
You mean me, I suppose.
No one else. Where did you get that name, Sniffer?
Well, that's what it does, doesn't it? Or am I supposed to call it Radiation Detector Analyzer Mark III all the time?
It's a cinch you wouldn't, Roger.
Cut the chatter, you two. Roger, keep your eyes on that sniffer.
You'd better if he kept his nose at it.
Blow your jets, both of you. I got work to do.
Hey, I didn't make the hotshot mad, did I, Tom?
Oh, forget it. He's got a low boiling point anyway.
And not that I'd say it to his face, but he's a real top-drawer astrogator.
Yeah, that chance we took really paid off.
Radar bridge control deck. Check in quick.
Oh, that sounds like trouble.
Control deck guy. What's wrong, Roger? You didn't lose the trail, did you?
No, I didn't lose a trail. I found one. Another one.
You mean there are two trails?
Exactly, Junior. They run along together for a while, then go off in different directions. And I don't know which one to follow.
Radar bridge eyes.
Getting anywhere in figuring out which of those two trails is the one we want?
Not yet, blast it. They're too similar.
Hey, Roger.
You in again, Astro. What?
Maybe one of the trails was made by a commercial spaceship.
No, I thought so at first, but the radiation patterns didn't pan out. Both these patterns were made by rocket cruisers. They're practically identical.
Can you check on which is the freshest trail, Roger?
Sure, by a diffusion comparison, but I think I can guess which is the right one without that.
Well, you better not guess, Roger. You better take time to check.
Look, I am sure. The last trail must be the one that deviates most from the original course. Come on, 6 degrees starboard, 1 down, and we're in.
That's pretty thin reasoning, Roger.
Listen, Tom, wasn't I right the last time? Didn't I get us this far? Well, don't I get a chance to...
All right. Don't cry all over the equipment. You win. I'm setting up the new course. Okay with you, Astro? Well, I suppose so. But I don't like it much. Neither do I, but I guess it's another chance we have to take, so full space speed and hope for the best. Hey, Tom, we're right on course, and the sniffer says the other ship is too. No deviation. Now, will you admit I was right?
Looks like it. Still, we may have more problems soon.
Yeah, what?
Well, we're moving in the general direction of Saturn, and you may have heard that Saturn has a moon.
9 moons, Professor.
I was thinking of the big one with the Solar Alliance colony.
Good old Titan. Remember the last time we landed there, that colonist's daughter?
Yeah, I remember. But Titan's been producing uranium as well as pretty girls.
So
freighters transporting the uranium back to Earth have all been using the space lane. And I think the Arcturus is heading for that lane.
Oh, you figure the Arcturus will make a run on the lane, merge its radiation trail with the others, and then blast out again, huh?
That's the way it figures to me.
Shows how wrong you can figure sometimes, Junior. The sniffer can pick out a cruiser pattern from a million made by traders.
I hope you can prove that, Hotshot.
Don't worry, I will. Say, maybe I won't have to.
What do you mean?
I'm getting something on my scanner. It's a spaceship down dead ahead.
A ship on this course? Why, that couldn't be a freighter.
It must be the Arcturus. Much farther.
Hey, Astro, did you hear that?
I sure did. Nice work, Roger. It's something funny, though.
Don't tell me you're not sure.
No, I'm surer than ever. The ship's making a good-sized blip on the screen now.
Already?
That's just it. The Arcturus should be burning up space, and instead she's just floating along, hardly moving. Great galaxy, suppose it's not the Arcturus. It must be. I guess Captain Strong's just tired of playing hide and seek.
All right, fellas, if it is the Arcturus, then she's a sitting duck. We can blast in on them before they can maneuver. Maybe before they know we're around. And we ought to get in some good shots, even if they are just on film.
Hey, maybe we can even win this dogfight. Oh, brother, if we could, wouldn't that make us hot stuff around the Academy?
It sure would. Okay, Roger. Keep your eyes on that screen. Astro, see if you can squeeze another couple of neutrons out of your rockets. Prepare to attack!
Radar to control.
Control eye.
Either just a touch to starboard, Tom, about 1 point. That's got it. Now, keep watching your viewport. You too, Astro. The spaceship will be in sight in a second. Let's hope you got the right one, Roger.
Oh, it has to be, Astro. If we're wrong...
Enough, Rob. Look. There it is.
It's a Solar Guard cruiser, all right, Astro.
It must be the Arcturus. Fellas, we're in.
Almost. We still have a strap on our hands, though. Okay, Roger, I'll handle the course visually now. You get on your gun control.
Right.
Stand by for changes in speed and course, Astro.
Aye, aye.
Remember, our guns contain telecams, not warheads, so there won't be any noise, only a little clicking sound.
Okay, let's start shooting.
We're not within range yet.
So what? We won't be wasting ammunition, just microphone.
We'll do it right anyway.
That's the way, Tom. The recorders will show it, too.
All right, coming into range. Ready, Roger? Ready? Fire forward battery.
Aye. Forward battery firing.
And right on the target. Okay, I'm starting east to port. Stand by to fire starboard battery. Forward battery, cease fire.
Cease fire, aye.
Fire starboard 1. Starboard 2.
Starboard battery's firing.
Keep them hot, Roger.
Hey, the Arcturus is waking up. They've seen us. Captain Strong's maneuvering to return fire.
Let him. Our pictures will show we got him first. But I'll try to out-jockey him anyway.
He's opening his forward gun ports. Hey, Tom, look.
Great Jupiter, he's going to fire real warheads.
Is Captain Strong on space happy?
Here comes the first one. Astro, full blast on port steering rockets.
Full blast, aye. Here it comes. Wow, missed us.
And here comes another one. Astro, cut in emergency power. Let's get out of here.
Comes me fine.
Roger, contact Captain Strong. Tell him to lay off.
That's what I'm trying to do. Hey, it's fired a full salvo.
Oh, brother, we'll never be able to duck all of them. Astro, hit the starboard steering jets.
Too late. Brace yourselves, guys. We're going to be clobbered. Jupiter. One thought of midships. Tom, you all right?
Yeah. Astro, check in.
Power deck. Aye.
Astro, what's the matter with you?
Nothing, Tom. I'm okay.
Then give me more power.
I can't. Main drive. Damaged. I can't.
Astro, check in.
Sounds like he's hurt, Tom.
Blast it. Can't you raise the Arcturus, Roger?
Not now. My transmitter shorted and the outside antenna is gone.
Oh, great. And look at the Arcturus. It's circling around. It's going to attack. And unless we can do something to stop it, we'll be blasted into meteor dust.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. Hey, everybody, gather around and hear all about the swell prize you get free at no extra cost in every package of Kellogg's Pep. It's a magic moving picture eye. Know what that is? Well, let me tell you. The magic eye is a gleaming plastic disc with a picture mounted in the middle. Now, suppose your magic eye shows you funny man Bob Hope of Paramount Pictures standing there with a baseball bat in his hand. You just tip the magic eye back and forth in your hand, and Bob Hope starts swinging that bat, all ready to swat the ball. You say it's magic, all right, and so will all your friends. And you can get other magic moving picture eyes, too. Next one might have a train on it. You tilt the magic eye, and... boy, the train starts smoking right down the track. How about that, Cadet Tom Corbett?
And say that's not all, Spaceman. You can get a complete set of 16 different magic eyes. You don't have to mail anything in. No box tops, no waiting. Just blast off on a cruise down to the grocery store and get a package of Kellogg's Pep.
Remember, there's a magic eye waiting for you right now, free at no extra cost in every package of the build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep. Driving forward on a mock attack on the cruiser, they trailed through space. Tom, Roger, and Astro were jubilant about their success until the other ship suddenly opened fire with real and deadly atomic warheads. Now, with the Polaris damaged, Astro unconscious, and their communications knocked out, Operation Hide and Seek is no longer a game, but a desperate struggle for survival.
Roger, that isn't Strong's ship, it's the Pollux. The Academy ship that disappeared 3 months ago. What? Sure, it must have been stolen, and the crew kidnapped or killed. It all ties in. Commercial ships missing lately. This one loafing around a space lane.
But who'd have the nerve to take over an Academy cruiser?
I'm trying to tell you. Space pirates.
Great Academy ghosts. They're out to get rid of us before we can report.
Yes, they've got a darn good chance of succeeding, too.
Those dirty space rats. But what can we do?
Just one thing, I'm afraid. Run for it. Try to make the outer moons of Saturn.
We can't land on those hunks of rock. They'd nail us like shooting fish in a barrel.
We won't land. Just use the moons to dodge the pirates' viewers and radar for a while, until you get that transmitter working.
Then what?
Then I don't know. I'm not even sure we can make the moons. But it's the only chance we have, so full evasion course. Let's go!
Okay, Tom. The radio's putting out a weak signal. Now what?
Now I want you to call Titan.
Titan? What's the matter with you? You'd be giving our position away.
Now, wait a minute. I'm going to be Titan.
You?
Listen, make your call full emergency. Then switch on. Change the circuit a little so it will sound different. Switch on again, and I'll answer from here.
What do you got?
Will you stop asking questions? Just do as I say. Make that call.
Okay. Here goes. Space Academy cruiser Polaris calling Titan Solar Guard Station. Polaris to Titan, emergency call. Over. Hold it. Now, Tom.
Titan Station to Polaris. All units being alerted for an emergency call. Go ahead, Polaris. Over. Okay, Roger. Make it sound good.
We are under attack by space pirates and stolen Academy ship Pollux. Earlier attack temporarily knocked out our radio, now repaired. We are in full evasion course around outer moons. Can you send help? Over. Go ahead, Tom.
Message received. Help on its way. 3 Solar Guard ships about to blast off. We'll knock those pirates right out of space. Meanwhile, maintain radio silence. Over.
Thanks, Titan. We'll be waiting. End transmission.
Well, that's it. Now we hope for the best.
Yeah, but maybe those space rats didn't even hear the message.
Maybe not. So we'd better keep dodging.
Hey, the Pollux just showed up on my scanner.
Well, that means they can spot us, too. Stand by for another sharp turn.
Hold it. Why strain the Polaris when we don't have to?
Don't have to.
The pirates have hightailing it away from here.
Then he did hear us. We're off the spot.
Now what?
Now we head for Titan and report.
Yeah, but by the time we can alert the Solar Guard, it'll be in the clear. Tom, we'll not follow them.
We can't, Roger. Not in the shape we're in.
Look, I know it's asking for trouble, but they won't be expecting us to follow them.
Sorry, Roger. I'd be willing to take the chance, but you're forgetting Astro. He's still unconscious. We've got to get him to a doctor.
Oh, yeah, but Tom, he'll be all right. He's tough. And anyway, you said he wasn't badly hurt.
I said I didn't think so. I'm not a medic. I'm not sure.
But you know he'd want us to.
Probably, but he's in no condition to say so. And we can't gamble with his life.
He's not that bad. You're just scared.
Not at all. I just stop to think sometimes. Now, let's have the course for Titan.
But Tom, okay, I'll figure the course.
And no tricks, hotshot. Our next stop is Titan. As far as we're concerned, this is the end of Operation Hide and Seek.
Don't miss the next action-packed episode with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, when the crew of the crippled Polaris encounters the pirate ship again. And there is a battle to the death in Part 2 of Operation Hide and Seek. Tune in, same time, same station, for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal. Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast were Al Markham, Jan Merlin, and Carter Blake. Today's program was written by Don Hughes and directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret. In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal all in one box. And no other raisin bran but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So, for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York, marketers of Richfield gasolines, motor oils, and other petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape to the headhunter backcountry on the island of New Guinea, and the story of two men trapped there with a beautiful but treacherous woman. As Jules Archer tells it in Two Came Back.
Suppose this big guy, 6'5", grabs your hand and says,
"You're my pal, Johnny. There's $1 million jackpot and I'm cutting you in."
And suppose this blonde number, all curves and green eyes, leans up soft and murmurs,
"Johnny, you're bad. Like me. I like you bad. Like me."
And suppose this blonde number, all curves and green eyes, waits until his big back is turned and then leans up again. It can get to be a problem, you know what I mean? A problem. By the time we'd passed over the Golden Gate and were headed out over the Pacific to the west, I could see this business of Gabe and Lily and me was strictly for the squirrels, and I wanted no part of it. There was no backing out now. I'd tried that for a week before takeoff, and it hadn't worked.
Johnny, don't talk crazy. You're my friend, aren't you? Aren't you?
Sure, Gabe, sure I'm your friend, but I don't want to go, that's all.
Oh, you gotta go, Johnny. It's $1 million strike, I tell you. Oh, and after what you've done for me, I gotta let you in. I gotta.
You really ought to come, Johnny.
Well, I don't know. But I did know. I knew that $1 million strike or no $1 million strike, this was the time for me, John Walker, to stay home. You see, it was all because this pal, this Gabe, had been my sergeant on New Guinea. We were doing guerrilla mop-up work. Rugged duty, what with the Japs scattered all over thousands of miles of interior and all. When Gabe disappeared, just plain vanished. We all figured the guy had caught one. He was dead. Lieutenant reported him missing in action. We forgot about it. Then one morning, about 3 weeks later, he shows. Not a scratch, not a word about where he's been or why or what. Well, they were all for shipping him back to Guam for a desertion trial, but Gabe, being a real rough soldier and all, being the kind of guy we needed bad right then, they decided to chuck the book for the time being and keep him on. It was, like I say, guerrilla mop-up work. And a couple of nights later, we were heading down this trail when a machine gun nest went off right in our face. We all hit the ground excepting Gabe. He dropped to one knee and sprayed the trees with his Browning. A big guy, he stood out like a pinwheel on the 4th of July. Yep, Gabe caught one. I saw the BAR fall out of his hands, and down he went. I wriggled through the kunai grass and onto the jungle trail and got him by his collar. And now, why go into it? I was a hero, I guess. I saved his life. And what did it get me?
Baby.
Trouble. It was in the spring of 47 that Gabe's letters finally caught up with me. I was in New York then. He was in Frisco. At first, I thought it was, well, just the old hoorah, but I was his buddy for keeps because I'd saved his life. But one of the letters had a plane ticket and a C-note along with a line about, I'm going to let you in on something big if you'll just come out to the coast. So I thought, maybe the guy's got something. I caught the plane, and the next day I found myself walking down this empty street in Frisco with an address in my hand. And a real funny feeling in my head that I ought to turn around and go back home.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Looking for somebody?
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I see I got the wrong address. Hey, that's a real slick house coat you got on it.
This? Oh, no, it's just an old thing, you know.
Well, on you, it looks like $1 million.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What address was it you were looking for?
403.
This is 403.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does Gabor Krilovich live here?
My husband.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Gabe! For you! A man.
Yeah? What does he want?
I can't imagine.
Oh, why... Oh, Johnny! Oh, Johnny, boy. So you got here, huh?
Sure.
Oh, gee, am I glad to see you.
Gabe, you're looking good.
Hey, so are you. Look at that guy.
Is this the Johnny you've been talking so much about?
Yeah, Lily, this is Johnny. Johnny, meet Lily. Lily, Johnny. Hey, didn't know I got married, did you, guy?
No, Gabe. No, I didn't know you'd got married.
Yeah. Not a bad little dish for a big slob like me, huh?
Congratulations.
Shall we come in out of this doorway?
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, Johnny, here you guy. You know, Johnny saved my life, honey. Did I tell you?
1,000,000 times.
And that's how I met Lily. Well, that night we sat up talking until the sun came up. I was wondering just what she was trying to pull. Marrying this bohunkus with his big feet and dirty undershirt and all when he hauled out the little leather bag and dumped the contents all over the table.
Hey, what do you think of this, Johnny?
Gabe, that gold?
That's just samples. Where that came from, there's enough more to make us all millionaires, Johnny.
You're kidding.
No. Hey, remember in New Guinea when I went AWOL?
Yeah.
That was just before Johnny saved my life, honey. Did I ever tell you about Johnny saving my life?
Yeah,
Gabe, about the gold, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I went AWOL, I thought I'd just do a little fishing or something. You know, I was kind of tired of the war. You understand?
Yeah, I understand, Gabe.
So I took off into the hills. Oh, Johnny, that is some country. Believe me, wild but pretty, real pretty. And what sunset? You never saw such...
Gabe, the gold.
Oh, yeah. Well, I seen this quartz stuff up there in the hills, and some of it was glittering. And, well, this is it. I made me a map. When I came back down, I can find it again without any trouble. That is, we can find it.
You and me?
And Lily, the three of us. Lily wouldn't want to miss all that adventure, would you, baby?
I should say not.
See? Ain't she cute? Ain't she? You know, every time I look at her, Johnny, I wonder, now why would a cute little dish like that marry a big slob like me?
Because you're so manly, sweetmeats.
Sweetmeat? Hey, did you hear that, Johnny? Ain't she the limit? Sweetmeat! Me!
Well, it didn't take any great genius to figure that she'd smelled money when she married him. It also didn't take any great genius to figure that Lily was going to disrupt some harmony. Now, I've never seen myself as a wife stealer, you know. So by the time that Gabe had bought all the stuff for the trip, I was ready to duck out, money or no. But Gabe wouldn't hear of it. And, well, you know how it is when you put things off. All of a sudden, I wake up to realize that we're flying over the Golden Gate and on out west over the Pacific. And I thought, oh, this is no good. And you know something? I was right. San Francisco to Honolulu. From Honolulu to Guam. From Guam to Moresby. And all the time she's leaning up against me with perfume and all, and those big green eyes. Moresby to Salamaua. Salamaua to Wewak. And Gabe has given me the happy stuff about how glad he is his best friend and his wife like each other so much. Then down over the palm groves, the native lacatories, sago-thatched huts, down, and there we were. New Guinea. Gold. Trouble.
Yeah, going up the Pacific River, eh, mates?
Yeah. Oh, you better give us a couple of pounds of that powdered milk there.
Pacific River. That's a rum country, that. Another patrol officer got done in up there last week.
Done in?
Oh, hey, how about some .45 ammunition?
What you are? Yes, done in. 8 hunters.
Gabe, you didn't tell me there were headhunters.
Huh? Oh, don't you worry, honey. You got me and Johnny to look out for you.
Well, it's no bloody business of mine, mate. Here. This the ammo you want?
Yeah, that's it.
No bloody business of mine, but I wouldn't take a woman up into that country. Might make it worse.
Worse? What's worse than getting your head hung up on a pole? Gabe, I want to go home.
Oh, now don't you worry, honey.
Of course, a woman would be a prize up there, lady. I mean, they wouldn't kill her. Odds are they'd make a queen out of her. Wouldn't touch her, just worship her like.
That's good?
Well, that's up to you.
Well, I don't like it.
An hour later, packs bulging with supplies, we were off on the trail that wound up over the Purple Mountains, the Prince Alexander Range, and on toward Mai. Gabe carried the heavy floatboat bag topped with a thick duffel of provisions. I followed, carrying 2 packs, one on top of the other. Lily brought up the rear, carrying a light pack of clothing, mostly her own. It was rough going that first day. Gabe didn't seem to mind. But me, my feet started to cave in after the first 10 miles. It was all right with me when Lily squawked.
Gabe!
What?
Let's stop.
Well, it's only 3:30, honey.
Let's stop, Gabe.
Another couple of hours, we can be over the first mountain.
Manana, Gabe. My back is breaking.
Okay, honey.
He lowered his big pack and then took off into the jungle.
Hey, where are you going?
We'll need some firewood.
Oh. Oh, Johnny. I'm tired.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, it feels good to get those on. Oh, whoever heard of carrying 2 packs at once?
Good old Gabe.
Yeah.
Come here, Johnny.
Huh? What do you want?
I know what you think about me, Johnny. You think I'm bad. It's only because I'm bored. Unhappy and bored. I could be a one-man woman, Johnny.
Oh, I'm glad to hear about
For
it.
the right man, Johnny.
Sure.
For you, Johnny.
Well, then Gabe would think it's such a hot idea.
Maybe he wouldn't have to, Johnny.
Meaning?
Maybe after we get the gold, he'll fall off a cliff. Or he gets eaten up by a tiger or stepped on by an elephant.
There's no elephants in New Guinea.
Don't be dull, Johnny.
I gotta be, Lily. I gotta be. You're real poison.
Oh, Johnny.
You're real bad poison.
Mm-hmm. I'm bad. So are you, Johnny.
Yeah. You know, that looks real funny. Lipstick in a jungle.
You think so?
Mm.
Looks even funnier on you.
You're nothing to do with it, baby.
Here comes Gabe.
I forgot my gun. Always like to carry a gun in the jungle. Never know when you're gonna run into a snake. Huh, Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Gabe.
Yeah. You never know.
For years, scientists have been improving your car's performance by making gasoline better and better. But there's one discovery scientists have made that's different from all the rest. It's a gasoline component called xylene. Xylene is one of the highest anti-knock gasoline components ever discovered. And today, every gallon of Richfield gasoline contains this super component xylene. Xylene in Richfield gasoline gives higher than ever anti-knock performance. You get that eager pickup in traffic, that surging power that puts you out in front every time. What's more, you have a choice of 2 great Richfield gasolines with xylene. Your Richfield dealer offers Richfield High Octane at regular price for the average motor. Or Richfield Ethyl. Ethyl at its best for knockless performance in the highest compression motors. Test Richfield gasoline with xylene in your car for just 1 week. We know what your choice will be. Tomorrow, stop where you see the Richfield Eagle under cream and blue pumps. And now we return you to Escape.
Well, there it was. The lady wanted me to kill her husband and live a life of pleasure on our ill-gotten gains. Very dramatic situation, except for a minor point. She had figured that I shouldn't kill him until after he'd found the gold mine. And another minor point being that I was his best friend. But you know how it is. Life. Best friends always kill best friends. Oh, sure. But while this sordid drama unreeled, we had to hike through that lousy jungle. Hike and hike and hike, and my feet were killing me. The 6th day was the worst one of the trip. We were wading through mangrove swamps thick with huge, thirsty leeches. There were giant mosquitoes that swarmed around us in clouds, and every time I slapped one, I killed 10. Oh, sure, we had mosquito lotion. They loved it.
Gabe?
What?
When are we going to get to the river? Gabe?
After a while, honey. After a while.
After a while, turned out to be 9 days more. Then we reached the Suffolk, a sluggish, muddy river winding like a serpent through huge, green-furred mountain ranges.
And now we ride.
We blew up the collapsible boat, loaded all of our stuff aboard, and shoved off. I took the bow, Gabe the stern, Lily sat amidships on a pile of sacks. Easy, Gabe, will you? This baby was designed for 2 people, not 3. We're drawing a lot of water.
Don't worry, Johnny. This is flood season. And with flood season, the water's high. We can carry 3, but later it won't work. Then it'll be only 2.
Yeah, but we'll be back before then.
Sure, Johnny.
From time to time when we camped, Lily would give me the business. She didn't seem to care whether Gabe caught on or not. I cared. I cared a whole lot. And Gabe, I didn't know yet what it was that he was feeling.
You saved my life, Johnny. I owe you a lot.
Maybe that's what it was. But one afternoon we camped early and went for a swim. I was paddling around. Water felt good. Abe and Lily got out and were drying off when all of a sudden I looked up. It was Gabe. He was standing on the bank, not 20 feet away, with his .45 pointed right at me. I dove. I dove as deep as I could. I could still hear him shooting. I stayed down until I thought my lungs were going to pop. I surfaced. Gabe was waving at me and yelling.
Come out, Johnny. Come out.
You're crazy, Gabe. Don't shoot anymore.
I'm not shooting at you. Come out.
So I came out. Then I looked around. And there, a few feet beyond where I'd been, was a tremendous crocodile with blood streaming out of him.
When you dove, I thought sure he had you.
Yeah.
Why'd you die?
I don't know. I must have lost my head.
Gabe saved your life, Johnny.
Yeah.
I guess that evens us up, huh?
Yeah, I guess so, Gabe.
No, I don't owe you a thing.
That's right.
But you're still my pal, huh, Johnny?
Well, you figure that one. We kept on going until we came to a place where a narrow, rocky tributary came boiling down a big mountain and into the septic. This was where we started walking again. The goal was up that fast little creek, and we could never paddle against that current. So we folded the boat, shouldered it and the packs, and started climbing. For a day and a half, we scrambled up that mountain by the fast little stream. Then we came to a wall of gray and white rock. Gabe said, "This is where the gold is." And he was right. Holy schmagoli, that gold. Sure, we had to work to get it out of the rock. Well, in 6 days, we took out nearly $500,000 worth. We could have taken more, but the stuff was heavy, you know. No, you don't know. You've never seen that much pure gold. But just take my word for it. 6 days later, we started down the mountain. Then, when we made camp by the river that night, Lily waited until Gabe was sound asleep.
Johnny.
Yeah?
Now, Johnny.
Now what?
Now you can kill him.
Oh, go away, will you? I want my sleep.
Do it now, Johnny.
Look, baby, I don't want to kill anybody. I'm a rich man. Will you get smart?
Smart? You get smart, Johnny.
What do you mean by that?
3 ways isn't good enough on the split. I want it 2 ways.
No, nuts.
And if you will kill him, I'll get him to kill you. After all, Johnny, you're the serpent in our happy marriage.
Shut up, will you? Listen.
I don't hear anything except the water.
Yeah. Well, a minute ago, you couldn't hear that for Gabe snoring. They came in the morning. While we were loading up, they came out of nowhere.
Get down!
What's that?
Elves! There it is!
We couldn't see them, but we could tell from the arrows where they were. We laid low and tried to make every shot count. It wasn't long before we saw they really meant business. They weren't going to go away.
Johnny!
Stop!
We haven't got enough ammunition to last more than 10 minutes at this rate.
Oh, that's just great.
Can you keep them off that long?
Why? Why? What are you going to do?
I'm going to get down to the stream and load up the boat.
You're crazy, Gabe. You can't make it down that stream.
Sure we can. It's that or end up with your head on a pole.
Okay, Gabe.
All right. Now cover me. I hear a shot. You and Lily come fast.
All right. longest 10 minutes of my life. Lily lay there beside me. She was plenty scared, and she had every right to be. Those arrows were ugly, big and jagged and sharp.
Johnny, those hours are getting closer.
Will you stop jiggling my arm?
I can't help it.
Look, how am I going to shoot if you jiggle my arm?
Suppose I get Gabe.
That'll be tough.
Yeah.
How come you worry about Gabe at a time like this?
Gabe, Snape, I'm worried about the gold.
Oh, you dear, sweet girl. Will you stop jiggling my arm?
So sorry.
3 minutes. 4. 5. I kept firing.
Have you any idea what you're shooting at? I mean it. You just point it at the grass and go back.
With a shot?
I should have stood in Frisco.
You should have stood in Frisco.
Oh, don't talk. Just keep shooting.
How can I keep shooting when you keep jiggling my arm? A nasty little thought crawled into my mind. Here I was up to my ankles in arrows, and there was Gabe with a boat, $500,000, and a downhill ride to freedom. Just suppose... Lily must have gotten the same idea.
I'm going to go help Gabe, Johnny. He may need help.
Stay here.
No. Goodbye, Johnny.
Why did I stay? I don't know. I lay there and kept shooting and kept thinking, oh, you sucker, they'll go off without you. But I stayed. Came 10 minutes, I heard it. Gabe signaled. The boat was already in the water, all loaded to go. Gabe faced the jungle, his automatic ready. Lily was crouching on the sand.
Good boy, Johnny. Thanks.
You all set?
Yeah. Just one thing I didn't count on.
What's that?
With all this gold in the boat, it'll only carry 2 people now.
Okay, Gabe, okay, I get it. Only one thing. Leave me your gun and ammo, will you? I want to die hard.
Wait a minute, Johnny, wait a minute. Maybe we ought to ask Lily who she thinks ought to stay. Maybe she'd rather I stay.
No, Gabe.
How about it, Lily? Who do you want to stay?
That's a tough question. I know. You both got guns. Why don't you fight a duel for it? It'll only take a second, and the winner gets me and the gold. The one who stays behind will be dead, so he won't have to be tortured by headhunters.
Oh, she's pretty cute, huh, Johnny?
Oh, yes, indeed.
Get in the boat, Johnny.
No, Gabe, look, go. You go. Look, now's your chance for a clean start.
Get in the boat, Johnny, or I'll kill you.
You sure this is how you want it, Gabe?
This is how I want it. Yeah, that's it, Johnny. Now, you all set?
Yeah, Gabe. I'm all set.
I hope you can get us down, Johnny. It's an awful fast stream.
Don't you worry about it, Lily.
Why not?
Because it works this way. If either Johnny or me stays here, he gets tortured and then gets his head cut off. If you stay here, you can be a queen. You can live. They won't even touch you. You'll rule a whole tribe all by yourself.
Gabe! What are you talking about?
Stay away from the boat, Lil.
No, Gabe, let her get in, will you? I'll get out.
Sit down, Johnny, or I'll
Come on.
Sit down, I say.
Gabe!
Johnny saved my life once. All you did was try to get him to kill me. Anyhow, I'm the only man who can get this boat down the rapids, and for that I need Johnny.
All right. Go. Get out, both of you. I'll be a queen. And I'll love it. And I'll be worth millions. Millions!
Yeah, I knew you'd say it, Lily. I knew you'd understand.
Here's an amazing fact for every motorist. The film of oil in your motor is often no thicker than a spider's web. But that thin film is all that saves your motor from destruction. That's why it's important for you to use the best motor oil you can get. We suggest Rich Lube, all-weather motor oil. Rich Lube is refined 100% from the finest Pennsylvania crude obtainable. Rich Lube protects your motor with a tough elastic oil film that holds its body even under the terrific heat of summer driving. At the same time, it draws excess heat away from moving engine parts. Moreover, Rich Lube, the Pennsylvania premium motor oil, contains special chemicals that clean your motor of harmful deposits as you drive. Yes, it cleans as it lubricates. So keep your motor clean. Keep your motor young.
See your Richfield gasoline dealer tomorrow. Ask him to change your oil to Rich Lube all-weather motor oil. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight has presented Two Came Back by Jules Archer, adapted for radio by Savage Dollar. Featured in tonight's cast were Joan Banks as Lily, Stacey Harris as Johnny, Paul Freese as Gabe, and Ben Wright as the Trader. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You are lost in the wildest mountains of Idaho, surrounded by a raging forest fire which is swiftly bringing a horrible death closer and closer to you. A death from which there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with an exciting story of love and murder in the wilds of Idaho, as Anthony Ellis tells it in The Red Forest. Be listening. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed adventure, we find Buzz and Happy in a relay communication station in space, at the mercy of Jim Colmar, who is in league with a strange alien power. Using some mysterious crystals, Colmar is forcing Buzz and Happy to obey him against their will.
Follow me into the generator room.
Commander, the crystals are getting brighter. That's all I can see or think about. Just the crystal.
Try to look away. Keep walking up to the generator. Closer. Closer.
Find it, Happy.
Touch the connection. Reach out your hand. Happy, don't touch it.
I can't hold back.
You've got to. If you touch it, you're finished.
We'll be back in just a moment with today's Space Patrol story, The Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. This is Space Patroller Dick Tufeld, gang, and boy, am I excited. We have a new machine here at Space Patrol headquarters, and it's terrific. It's called the Flavor Meter. It's used for testing the flavor of food. Now, I have a plain, ordinary cereal right here, so let's test it. The better it tastes, the louder it'll ring the bell. All I do is put the cereal in this slot and push the button. Not much flavor there, is there? Now, suppose we put in some other ordinary cereal. Well, not even a tinkle. Now, here's a couple of super cereals I'd like to test. I'll put them both in. Wow, that did it. Those cereals really ring the bell for flavor, you bet. They were Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. Chex, the cereals with that modern bite-sized design. Chex, the super cereals that help us supercharge you. Test them yourself, gang, in your own cereal bowl. Believe me, they'll really ring the bell for flavor. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. Swinging in a wide orbit around the planet Saturn is the artificial satellite COM Relay 4, the powerful communications relay center. Serious trouble between two men assigned to duty at the space station has brought Commander Corey and Cadet Happy to investigate. With their ship, Terra 5, joined to the airlock of COM Relay 4, Buzz and Happy are now opening the inner lock of the huge disc-shaped relay station.
Go ahead, Happy.
Yes, sir. Welcome aboard, Commander.
Oh, Ma, you look as though you haven't had any sleep for 2 days.
Oh, it's been nearer 3, sir. I've been working both shifts.
Why didn't you report this dispute between Siler and yourself immediately?
I should be able to handle my own assistant.
I don't like to yell to the top brass for help.
Where is Siler?
He took a swing at me, so I had to lock him out. He's back here.
All right, let's find out what this is all about. Come on, Happy.
Yes, sir. He's in here.
All right, Kumar. If you'll wait for us in the control room, Happy and I will have a talk with Siler.
Yes, Commander. I hope you can straighten him out.
All right, Happy, open the door.
Yes, sir.
Well, Siler, let's hear your version of the story.
Didn't Colmar tell you I swung at him?
Yes.
Okay. I assaulted the superior. Why go into it any further?
Close the door, Happy. Yes. Siler, I know your record. You've worked these two-man teams for years. I find it hard to believe you suddenly went space happy and struck Jim Colmar. Let's have the whole story.
We got along all right at the beginning, but lately Colmar's been unreasonable. He races his rockets over every little thing.
And you don't feel that you've done anything to antagonize him?
No, sir.
When was the first blow-up?
A couple of days after the meteor hit us.
Meteor?
It was just a little one, about the size of a marble. We patched up the hole in the hull and everything was okay. And one day I walked into the control room to relieve him a little early. It was a favor, see, and he jumped down my throat.
What did he say to you?
Said he was tired of my sneaking up behind him. He got his hand clutched around something as though he were afraid I'd steal it. He acted like a spoiled kid.
Was that when you swung at him?
No, it was later. He kept finding fault with everything I did. Well, I finally blew up. He swung wild, and he connected. I was a little surprised. I didn't think Colmar had it in him.
Now, Siler, you're relieved from duty. I'm taking you back to Terra. But first, I want a written report from Jim.
Commander, I just put Bob Siler aboard the spaceship for Venus.
Oh, a few weeks in the rest camp at Lake Azure will fix him up all right.
He certainly was grateful to you for not entering that row with Colmar as a black mark on his record.
I'm putting it down as a flare-up of temperament due to confinement and strain. Actually, beginning to think Colmar could do with the rest at Lake Azure, too.
Oh, by the way, sir, the applicant for duty at the comm relay is waiting to see you. His name is Jack Perkins.
All right, Happy, show me.
The commander will see you now, Mr. Perkins.
Thanks, Cadet. Good morning, Commander.
Oh, sit down, Perkins.
Thank you, sir.
So you want to be assigned to duty at Saturn Comm Relay 4, huh?
That's right.
You know who's in charge there?
Sure, Jim Colmar. Best spacephone engineer of the solar system.
I won't argue with you there. But you had a serious dispute with him about 4 years ago. He had you court-martialed.
Oh, I had it coming. I've learned a lot since then, Commander. There won't be any more trouble.
You'll be notified of my decision.
Thank you, sir. Believe me, I want this assignment more than I wanted anything before in my life. Well, goodbye, sir. I'll wait until I hear from you. Oh. Commander.
Yes, Robin?
Can I see you a minute, sir?
Certainly.
I've been getting more complaints about Saturn Comm Relay 4.
Well, what is it now?
Saturn and Neptune channels are weak, but Colmar is feeding a wild beam out into space 40 degrees west of Pluto. He's sending gibberish where there aren't any planets or space planes.
He's probably groggy from lack of sleep. You've got to get him an assistant right away.
He's put in a request for a specific man. Came through the private channel about an hour ago.
Oh, who does he want?
Guy who just left here? Jack Perkins.
Well, I'm either putting a lion and a tiger into a cage together, or I'm helping to restore a beautiful friendship.
You mean you're going to okay Perkins' appointment?
We need a man out there quickly. And I feel we should send a man of Colmar's choice.
Yes, sir.
See that Jack Perkins gets in the next space patrol transport.
Thanks for asking for me, Colmar. Strange, isn't it? Am I getting a hunch to apply for the assignment just at this time?
No, it may not be as strange as you think, Jack. We'll get along fine, I'm sure of that.
Sure we will. There I was wasting my time on Mars when all of a sudden I thought of you.
Here's the control room.
Wow. Say, you sure got this thing fixed up. Where'd you promote all this extra equipment?
I'll tell you someday. For the time being, I just say this isn't standard for a comm relay station of this size.
I'll say not. Jim, you got something in this room. Something strange, magnetic. Something behind the amplifier. I knew it. The crystal.
Yes. You have one too, haven't you?
Yes, I've got it with me. But yours is a much larger crystal. Where'd you get it?
It crashed through the hull of a station a few weeks ago. For a time being, I was afraid my assistant would examine. I told him it was a meteorite, and he seemed satisfied.
This one fell at my feet when I was hiking across a plain on Mars.
Mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah. It even seems to be trying to tell me something. To tell me where it's from. From a world far away. Beyond the solar system.
Zeldabran, perhaps?
Yes, Zeldabran. What does it mean, then?
It means we have been selected from all the people of the solar system to guide the invaders. The liberators from Zeldabran.
I don't quite understand.
You will. Probably millions of these crystals were fired out into space, in all directions from Zeldabran. Just on the chance that one or two might come to rest on an inhabited planet.
But, Jim, are the crystals alive?
No, not in the usual sense. But they vibrate in sympathy with the life force of the men of Zeldabran. That's how they communicate with us. Project the thoughts of these men.
You've learned all this from the crystals?
Yes. And we must keep these crystals a secret from everyone. Those are the orders.
Yes, I know.
All who have the crystal will be brought together, as we were. Only by working in secret can we guide our masters here, the conquerors from Zeldabran. Come, we got work.
Commander. Oh, yes, Riley? Something's got to be done about Com Relay 4. Isn't that mess straightened out yet? Well, it's improved a little since Perkins arrived. But our message center is still 4 hours behind schedule in clearing communications to Pluto.
Due to Com Relay 4, Major?
Yeah. Pluto reports signal strength is weak from Relay Center. We've run the code tape through twice. Have Colmer or Perkins given any explanation? None that makes any sense. Well, I'll get some sense out of them. Robbie, beam all out-of-planet spaceophone signals through Jupiter Com Relay 3. Right. Happy and I are blasting off for Com Relay 4 to find out what Perkins and Colmer...
The crystals are gleaming brighter, Colmar.
Yes. I'm using their pulsations to modulate the spaceophone signal.
Amazing. That a crystal can absorb the thoughts and feelings of a human being and then emit those vibrations to make us understand.
Yes. If the crystals hadn't sensed that we were friendly, they probably would have remained cold lumps of mineral.
They know their friends, these crystals.
And they know their enemies. Look, their light is fading. The crystals are warning us. Quick, disconnect them from the modulator while I check the spaceophone.
Right, Colmar.
Someone must be coming. And just when I felt that we were about to contact Zeldabran. Look, there on the viewscope.
A spaceship?
Yes, a space patrol battle cruiser. Terra 5. It's Commander Corey, and he's heading right for the station.
Those messages. We should have diverted more power to the regular signals instead of pouring it all towards Zeldabran. They may be suspicious.
The crystal will protect us. We'll let Corey aboard the space station, if that's what he wants. But hold on to your crystal. Let it guide you. And whatever the crystal tells you... They're in the airlock. Hold your crystal firmly. And don't be afraid. We'll get out of this.
I'm not afraid, Colmar.
Well, I hardly expected you back so soon, Commander.
Hello, Colmar. I'm surprised to see you looking so well.
I feel much better since Tyler left and Perkins is here.
Well, that's fine. But what about your relay transmitters? Pluto can barely pick you up. You've got a beam 40 degrees west of Pluto that nearly burned out our meters.
Yeah, we tested it when we came in.
I want an explanation, Colmar.
Very well. We are diverting the power of the space relay station to more important matters.
What's more important than your duty, relaying official messages?
I'm afraid you'll never know. Come with me, Commander.
You're a little confused, aren't you? You take orders from me, remember?
I said come with me. Follow me.
You must be space happy, Commander. And what are those little bottles they're holding?
Colmar. Perkins. What's in those bottles?
They are crystals. Crystals from another universe. Now come. Come, Commander.
Commander. Something funny is happening. I can't take my eyes off those crystals.
Follow me into the generator room.
Try to look away. They've got our reactions controlled somehow.
Crystals are getting brighter. That's about all I can see.
Walk up to the generator. Touch the connections. Then you will know what we are doing with all the power.
Happy, don't touch it. I can't hold back.
Reach out your hand. It is not I, but our masters of Zeldabran who command you. Reach out your hand. Take the power connections in your hand.
We'll be back with Space Patrol in just a moment. But first,
this is Commander Corey
and Captain Dick Tufeld,
reminding you that pulling up to your breakfast table
is like pulling up to a filling station.
Give them out example, Dick.
Right. A jet cycle has just pulled into a filling station to get its tank filled.
The man has it filled with ordinary fuel. Listen. Not much go in that jet cycle, is there?
But now listen to that same jet cycle filled with super fuel. Man, that cycle's roaring like a rocket now because it's supercharged with super fuel.
Same thing is true of you, gang. To get going in the morning, you need super fuel, too.
So get supercharged the way Buzz Corey and all us Space Patrollers do.
Eat a power breakfast with Instant Ralston, the hot super cereal made of rich whole wheat.
Instant Ralston helps you to think fast.
And act fast.
So remember, gang, when you pull up to your breakfast table, it's just like pulling up to a filling station. You're there for fuel.
Super fuel, so you can get supercharged. Take a tip. Eat a power breakfast with Instant Ralston and get supercharged. Get it today in the red and white checkerboard package. Good, hot Ralston.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. Two mysterious crystals have found their way into the solar system from outer space. One crashed through the hull of a communications relay station in the Saturn orbit. The other landed on a Martian plain. Discovered millions of miles apart by two men who once were enemies, the crystals have brought the two men together in the space station, united in a weird project. Buzz and Happy, investigating failure of the relay station to operate properly, are under the strange power of the crystals. And the two space patrolmen seem powerless to resist their orders.
One more step, Cadet.
Fight it up, Happy. I'm trying, sir.
Follow the crystals. Reach out your hand and feel the surge of power you never felt before. You can leave this universe in a blinding blue-green flash of glory. Another inch, Cadet.
No, Happy.
No! My crystal! And there's yours!
Perkins! Get away from the generator, Happy, quickly.
All right, Commander. Get your hands out. Don't reach for your ray gun.
Don't try anything, Cadet.
Good work, Perkins. Watch him. Don't let him get up.
Right. Hold on. Where did those crystals come from?
From Zeldabran. And they're the guiding force that will bring the United Planets conquerors here from the planets of our masters.
Oh, Ma, you've been out in space too long. You almost had us touching those generators. But put up that gun. I'll see that you get medical attention, and I won't bring any charges against you.
That's mighty big of you, Commander. That's what happened to the crystals. When the containers broke, the crystals faded. They're just like ordinary lumps of quartz. Corey, I ought to fix you good. Hold on, Packard. Let's wait and see what the crystals say. They may have other orders. Lock Corey and the Cadet in the empty compartment. We'll try to revive the crystals.
Commander, how are we going to get out of here? Omar and Perkins are completely out of their minds.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Put your ear close to this ventilator. Listen to me. The compartment, the other end of this bed.
I see the crystals are giving off light again.
In a few hours, we can put them back in the modulator. This time, maybe we can get through the Zeldabran. I think the beam is weakened by the cosmic rays from the sun. If we could take this relay station out beyond the Pluto orbit, how can we do that? There is one other person in the solar system who has found one of the crystals. He has helped me already by bringing me equipment I needed. Who is he? A very wealthy man on Terra, Zoltan Cephalou. If he comes here with a powerful spaceship, we could quickly accelerate the relay station out beyond the Pluto orbit.
Come away from the vent, Happy. This sounds crazy, but those crystals just might be a contact from some other system.
At any rate, I've never seen crystals behaving like that before.
Whether or not they're from another universe, they're dangerous in the hands of Colmar and Perkins. Have you got your miniature spacephone?
Yes, sir.
Good. We'll try to reach Major Robertson and have him pick up Zoltan Cephalou. If Colmar tries to contact Cephalou, we'll at least have evidence.
crystals have revived enough to handle Corey and the Cadet.
And this time we'll be more careful.
Unlock the door.
That's right, Robbie. Hold carefully. You've got a peculiar crystal that gives out a violet light. Take that, too. Hurry up.
They got a spacephone in there. A miniature. Quickly.
All right, Corey. We'll just take that little spaceophone.
Spaceophone? What spaceophone?
Come on, hand it over. You'll get a worse clout than you did before.
All right. Here you are.
I'll fix this little device. There. Now let's see you contact anybody. Soon we will be carrying out the will of our masters, the rulers of Zeldabran.
You really believe that stuff, don't you?
If you were fortunate enough to sense the vibration of the crystals, you would believe it too.
Omar and I know things you'll never know. About a superior race of men, far out among the stars.
These crystals are seeds they have scattered throughout space. When they find fertile ground and receptive life, they bloom and glow.
With our spaceophone equipment, we can transmit their pulsations back to Zeldabran. Then our masters will know they can come here to a new home.
Commander, what do you think?
It makes no difference what the commander thinks. He's going to help us.
How?
We've got to move the space station before someone investigates. The commander's ship is connected to our era. We'll have him move Tom Relay 4 to a better location. Now let's plug these two in here until we get our crystals. This time there must be no slip-up.
What are we going to do, sir?
They're going to try to put us under the power of those crystals. If the crystals don't work, Colmar and Perkins still have our weapons. But if they think we're under the spell of the crystals, we may be able to catch them off guard after we're in the ship. Now, don't look directly at the crystals. And keep your eyes partly closed.
Yes, sir.
And pretend to be resisting.
Come on. Follow the crystal into your ship. After me. That's it.
Try to stall them, Happy. Hold back.
I can't. My feet keep moving in spite of all I do.
Come on. Don't fight it. It's no use.
That's it. Now close the inner hatch. Take your usual position at the control panel. Quickly now. Now watch the crystals and listen. You will start this ship gently at first so as not to pull away from the relay station. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now go ahead. Your usual procedure.
Just a minute, Commander. That's the spaceophone you just turned on.
Major Robertson.
Don't try to answer him.
I could only move my hand.
Look at him. He's straining every muscle to turn on the microphone.
Major Robertson to Commander Corey. I've tried to reach you for 20 minutes. Here's the message in case you can't acknowledge. Zoltan Cephalou has been captured.
Oh.
Cephalou had us completely in his power until I found the crystal. Then we grabbed Cephalou without any trouble. Repeat, Major Robertson.
Turn that out. We've got to get away from here quickly. Corey, start the ship.
Stand by to fire rockets. Half the acceleration.
Standing by, sir. 1/2 G.
Fire rockets.
Perkins, is the space station holding to the ship?
Seems to be, from what I can tell through the viewport.
Corey, increase our velocity gradually. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Set a course 40 degrees west of Pluto.
40 degrees west of Pluto.
That's it.
They're like automatons. Look at them.
We're completely under the power of the crystals. It'll take us several hours to get beyond Pluto's orbit. But by then we should be able to send signals to Zeldabran.
Then what about Corey and the Cadet?
Their usefulness will be over. We will dispose of them.
How will we get back?
Don't worry about that. There are supplies for weeks in the space station. We will calmly await the arrival of our masters from Zeldabran.
Correct course. 1.5 degrees west.
1.5 degrees west.
3 degrees high.
3 degrees high.
Happy, are you under control?
Under control, Commander.
Then I give the word and you quickly rush me. As steady as you go.
Yes, sir.
Now.
Get back to your control.
Give me that crystal, Colmar.
Let go of the crystal, Perkins.
I got one of them, Commander.
Here's Colmar. Hold it. All right, Colmar, stand back. I've got this ray gun on you.
Corey, you fool. You've only temporarily broken the power of the pistol. Give them back.
You know, that's an idea. We will give them back, but not for you. We'll fire those pistols out of the ship. That's the only way to break their control. Happy, quickly. Open the breech, the cosmic torpedo gun. Yes. Breech open, sir. Put them in and close it. All right, Happy. Fire the torpedo.
You shot the crystals out into space.
Yes. Out towards Zeldabran. Or wherever they came from.
Hey, I feel different now. I can move my hands easily.
Homer, what happened? Commander Corey and the cadet shot the crystals out into space.
Out where they'll never be found. At least by anybody in the solar system.
Thank goodness. But that's wonderful.
What are you so happy about, Colma? I thought you wanted the crystals.
They had some terrible power over me. Now it's broken. I'm free again.
So am I. Commander, if you hadn't fought us, Colmar and I would have brought something horrible into the solar system. I don't know just what, but it wouldn't have been good.
Snap out spacephone Robbie and give orders to blast that third pistol out of the solar system.
Commander, Perkins and I are traitors, and we deserve whatever is coming to us. But I'm glad it's over.
A brainograph test will show whether you were acting under the influence of the crystals or your own free will.
Well, I'm glad it's over. But I've got something to settle with you, Colmar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to punch you in the jaw for getting me court-martialed 4 years ago.
I'd like to see you try.
Hey, wait, break it up. Break it up. Now, let's not have any more of that.
Hey, Commander, it was the crystals. See? See, with the crystals gone, they're enemies again.
And so, once again, Commander Corey's quick thinking and daring have prevented a disaster in the United Planets. But even now, events are taking place that may mean more danger for Commander Corey. And now, an exciting preview of next week's Space Patrol adventure. Oz and Happy have landed on a small planetoid. At this moment, wearing their spacesuits, they're approaching the airlock of a prospector's cave, where a criminal is believed to be hiding.
Have your ray gun ready, Hap. I'll see if I can open the airlock. Right, Commander.
Now, where did that come from?
Someone's firing at us.
That one came from the other direction.
The airlock won't open. We have no protection. Whoever's controlling those weapons can just keep firing until they get us.
Be sure to be with us next Saturday for the exciting story of Magic Space Pictures, when Wheat Checks, Rice Checks, and Good Hot Ralston again bring you Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! Space Patrol, an original Mike Moser production starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston and directed by Larry Robertson. Other players were Bela Kovac, Ken Mayer, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufel speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Wheat Checks, Rice Checks, and Good Hot Ralston again present the new exciting Space Patrol! And be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. And now, a word to mothers about the salad of the year.
Peach Coronation Salad. A brand new idea inspired by the crowning of England's lovely new queen. A salad that looks like a queen's crown, studded with jewels.
But the kind of a salad a man can go for. It's made with creamy cottage cheese and luscious canned cling peaches from California.
Give your Peach Coronation Salad that perfect touch. Serve with delicious rye crisp. Those toasty wafers with a hearty rye flavor.
Boy, what a way Rye Crisp has of making other foods taste their best.
You will see the Coronation Salad featured in magazines and newspapers, and in special displays at your grocer's all during the month of March.
And when you serve this colorful new salad, be sure to serve it with delicious Rye Crisp.
For your figure steak, make Rye Crisp your bread all the time. Only 21 calories in a double square.
No waiting for the famous Rye Crisp reducing plan when you buy Rye Crisp. It's printed right on the package.
Remember, it's smart to make your bread Rye Crisp.
Space Patrol comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.